Hello folks, Jim Tashiv, Mihal here. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend and I hope things are going good. So today what we're going to do is we're going to hold an oral prep course for you as well, just to make sure that things are okay with the oral, because I know you're a little bit stressed from a couple of the emails that you've been sending me in during the week. So what we decided to do is just run something that was kind of just to make sure that things are going well with the orals, because we're still about maybe 5 weeks out. So we actually have a huge amount of time, plenty of time really, I suppose, to actually lock the orals in, get the strap pictures done, make sure we have everything done for all our topics. You have a phenomenal amount of time, and that's the one thing I want you to kind of realize by the end of today's class is just how much time you actually have to put stuff into play. So today's class that we're running for the prep course for the actual orals themselves for the 40%, my goal is not to overwhelm you. My goal is not to panic you. My goal is to make you feel quite confident and quite comfortable about all the aspects of the Irish course. So in today's block session from 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock, I'm going to give you things that I would like to see in your orals. Now, not notes, I'm not talking about like reams of notes. I'm talking about kind of nice phrases that you can use, that you can throw into your material. So today we're not going to overload you. I don't want to swamp you. You've been doing fantastic work in school as it is. You've been doing a phenomenal amount of work over the past couple of weeks, getting all your material together, getting your practice in, and that's absolutely fantastic, and I love that. But today what we're going to do is just give you maybe a revision checklist. And when you're going through the material with me in today's class, it's kind of nice as well to know that the things that I'm pulling out and saying, just make sure you have this in, and make sure we have this in your notes, and make sure we have this topic prepared. It's going to be really, really comfortable and confident feeling at the end of it, knowing I actually had all of those in. I had all those points in. That's grand. So we can use it today as a checklist to make sure you're on the right track. That's the main thing, to make sure you're on the right track. And the second thing, why not take this session to revise with me as well? Why not take this session to revise topics of family and area and school and sports and hobbies and what you want to do? So we can use today as a revision as well. And as well as that, I'm going to give you kind of nice phrases, key phrases. Now, not material, not chunks and chunks of material, but just nice phrases, short, simple phrases that'll make you stand out. And that's the key. Now, all of the notes that you have are found on our news feed. So I'll just actually show you very, very quickly. If you just go onto our Grinds 360 app here, they're just there. They're straight up in the actual news feed themselves. So I'll be kind of going back and forth between those, but you can just download those notes there and they'll come up for you, no problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look just very, very quickly. I'm focusing on the orals now, so that's something that you should really be kind of doing with this as well. You want to be kind of gearing up for the oral. So every Monday at 8:15 I do the live grinds all on oral, so we'll go through all the topics and the muck and questions and kind of something a little bit more kind of topical as well. And that kind of pairs in then with Tuesday as well. We do live listening as well at 6:45, because that's worth 10%, and these pair wonderfully, the listening and the oral. If you think about it, you're 40% for the listening, or sorry, you're 40% for the orals, you're 10% for the listening. That's 50%. And here's a fact: you can get 50% of an exam by just sitting a 15-minute oral and a 20-minute listening. So, and again, 35 minutes, you'll have bagged 50% of your Irish oral. So it's really, really it's a very doable exam. Wednesdays we do a writing workshop. I show you how to Irish. I go through all the different key points with you as well to help you kind of boost your confidence in writing and get you writing your own material and get you writing your own material about poems and stories and all that. And then we do our live essay grind on the Wednesday at 5:15 as well. And Thursdays are always going to be geared up for literature at 5:15. I'll take you through the poems and all the stories and the exam questions, what we wanted all of the years. So you have a kind of a full platform. Every night there's something going on for Irish. So we're in the middle of the orals. We're gearing up for that 40%. So we're live, fully interactive, so you can ask as many questions as you want. Now don't panic if I don't answer all of your questions straight away. If your questions, we're going to do all things today anyway, so if your questions are about maybe the topics, just hold off for a couple of minutes on the topic questions, or maybe you've got questions about the strap door, hold off on them for a couple of minutes, because we're going to do all of the aspects of it. And what I'll do is I'll try and answer as many of your questions as possible, but if I think, do you know what, that question would actually suit the material I'm going to do in about 15 minutes, then I'll just leave it for that 15 minutes. So just don't panic too much if I don't be answering your questions straight away. But it's very, very good to ask questions, ask an examiner, talk to me, let me know how you're getting on, let me know kind of where your weak points are and what you want to improve. That's really important. So at the end of today, all the work that you've been doing over the past couple of weeks, we really want to get you feeling confident and very comfortable about this exam. So without further ado, let's get you started on the actual material itself. Now, the thing is, with the orals, there's one big thing that we need to look at. is that an awful lot of students are actually gearing up to try and get into all the difficult material. You want to get into talk about the educational system, you want to get in, you want to talk about maybe homelessness and maybe the environment and all that. And this is something I hear students doing an awful lot. However, this is a common exam, so your examiners don't know if you're higher level or if you're ordinary level. It's a straight up common exam. So you are all going to walk in, 6th year walks in together, and there's no higher level, there's no ordinary level. You just have to have a chat with an examiner. So the thing I'm going to tell you first of all is we need to calm down with the more difficult stuff just now for the moment, right? Bear with me, but we need to calm down with all this kind of educational stuff, the environment. Calm that down for a second, because it's actually on the left hand side that's really important. And if you can't find that there's 6 mistakes on the left hand side talking about yourself and how old you are and when you were born, the chances of your examiner actually going on to asking you more topical questions and more kind of civic and social questions is very, very, very slim. So my advice to you is, for the first part of this class, we're going to get the basics down, we're going to do them really, really well, and then we can take it up a notch. But there's a couple of key things that I want to show you with the actual orals themselves. So if you want to get your notes, let's go and have a quick look of actually what it is. Let's take a step back for a second and just kind of go back to basics and see what this is. And one thing I'll tell you to highlight in your notes is this is just a chat. This is just a chat between you and an examiner. Now, the examiner themselves are teachers. They have their own cohort of students. So somewhere down the country, they have their own students that are sitting an exam, and they're worried. They're panicked. They're a little bit kind of uneasy about how their own students are getting on. So I want you to do one thing for me. Let's change our mentality. Let's change our mindset first of all, right? You're going in to talk to a teacher. We don't need to keep calling them examiners, because that at the end of the day is what they are. They're just a teacher with their own set of students at home. So they understand the pressure that you're on. They understand the kind of the stress that's on you. So this is going to be a chat. It's going to last roughly about 12 to 13 minutes, and that's all. Now, when does it take place and where does it take place? Depending on the size of your school, right, there might be more than one examiner. So maybe if you're in a bigger school, you could have maybe 2 examiners, even 3 examiners. Or if you've just got maybe a small sized amount of 6th year, well then you'll probably just have 1 examiner. Now, it'll either go by surname or exam number. That's up to the school and that's up to the examiner themselves. You will find out that maybe a little bit, maybe the week before the actual exams themselves, they'll tell you whether when the timetables go up. So you'll need to give it another couple of weeks until you know whether you're going to go by exam number or whether you're going to go by surname. But that's down to the school itself. Now, Luke has a question in there for straight up. When are the orals, before or after Easter? So Luke, the orals are actually going to take place from the 12th to the 17th of April. So that's the 12th to the 17th, and that will run with all of your orals. French, German, Spanish, Italian, Irish are all in on that week as well. Now, what normally happens, Luke, is you have a school will do their very best to keep the languages separated. So they'll probably try and put maybe Irish on a Monday, and if you're doing Spanish, they'll do their best to maybe put you on a Thursday or a Friday. So they all take place within the 12th to the 17th. But again, they'll do their very, very best to kind of keep those languages separate, to give you an extra couple of days to, now you've done Irish, now kick into gear and get your Spanish ready to go. Now, what does it involve? This is the thing that you all need to relax about, all right? I feel like you're doing an awful lot more material than you really should be doing. Let's just bring it back. This is an exam about you, and it's an exam about your life. For the first time ever, the tables are turned. I, as an examiner, I don't know how many brothers and sisters you have. I don't know what music you like. I don't know what course you want to do in college next year. I don't know what you thought about life in Spain or your holidays in Spain or how many times you've been to Spain. The examiner knows nothing. So for the first time ever, the tables are turned. You know everything. Because it's about you, it's about your life, it's about your families, your hobbies. You know what music you like. You know whether you can play a guitar or not. You know whether you like Spanish or not. You know the answers already. So this is about you, it's about your life. And it's actually a chance for you to talk about yourself. Like, I know nothing, so I'm genuinely going to be like, and how many brothers have you got? And do you all get on well, or do you fight? And do you have similar interests? Speaking of interests, do you like music? And if so, what type of music do you like? So your examiner's going to just ask about you, but you know all the answers. So it's just about you, it's about your life. The questions are quite predictable. So we've only a small amount of time to actually chat. We've only a small, about 8 minutes to talk about you. So the questions are going to kind of start off about your family and your area and where you live, and then we'll move on maybe to school, and then we'll move on to maybe hobbies and sports and music. But the thing is, you actually get to manipulate, and that's what I'm going to show you in today's class, how to kind of manipulate the conversation. Because at the end of today's session, I want you to feel very confident about your Irish, and I want you to feel very comfortable about your Irish. So I'm going to get you to take control of the conversation. I'm going to show you how to kind of take the control back from an examiner in the conversation and talk about yourself. It's very possible to get 100%. That's key. Think now, I know you're all geared up for H1s and H2s, and some of you are just like H3s and H4s. Put all that aside for a second and bear with me. It's an exam about you, that you already know what you want to talk about and you already know the answers. It's very possible to get 100%. And one thing where we're going to go through the material is, if you find, and I'll write this down for you, right? But if you find that your material, say for a question, right? And if you find that you have maybe for one question, you have maybe 15 or maybe 16 lines of an answer, that's way too much. That is far too much. Your examiner's not going to sit there and listen to you talk about yourself for 15, 16 lines. So what I would tell you straight off the bat now is, one of the best things I could ever, piece of advice I could ever give you is, if you're looking at your material and it's huge, it's nearly 3/4 of an A4 page, bring it back to about maybe 8 lines. Bring it back to a nice manageable amount, because at the end of the day, this is going to be a chat between me and you. So I'm not going to let you talk about yourself too much. I can't let you just be a May feigner. So bring it back to about maybe 8 lines. And the other thing is, we do not need long, complicated sentences in Irish. Keep your Irish short, keep it simple, keep it manageable, because it's all about your conversation. It's all about your delivery. It's all about your performance. And you'll find it is much, much easier to remember short, simple sentences than sentences that go on, long-winded, complicated, complex sentences. So make sure that Irish is short, make sure it's simple, but we're going to give that examiner a nice piece of vocab. We're going to throw in something every now and again that'll catch that examiner's eye. Now, what does the marking scheme look like, and what does the timing look like on the orals? This is really, really important. There are going to be 4 sections. I know I did 5 there, sorry. There are going to be 4 sections for the Irish orals. Number 1 is going to be the welcome. Now, I love the welcome. I'm going to ask you 5 questions about yourself, and I'm going to go through these with you in a second. It's going to last roughly about a minute, and for every question you get right, I'm going to give you 5 marks. So when you tell me my name is John O'Brien, I'm like, brilliant, John, have a mark. We're going to throw marks at you, but you have to play the game. Number 2, after that, then we have the poetry reading. The poetry reading is going to last about 2 minutes, and it's going to be 35 marks. That is a phenomenal amount of marks. Bear in mind, your paper 2, and all the poems that you're doing on paper 2, you're doing your poems on Gavin and Culscar, you're learning emotions and images and life at work, the poet. That's only 30 marks. In the orals, you're going to earn 35 within 2 minutes. This exam is geared to give you the best chance at top marks. This exam is designed, it's engineered to give you the best in this. Look at this for the next one, the conversation. The conversation is going to last about maybe 8 minutes, with the examiner talking about you, your life, your hobbies, your pastimes, who's in your family, who's the oldest, all that sort of stuff. But look at the marking scheme. It's going to be worth 120 marks to you. Now, compare that to an essay on paper 1. Do you know your essay on crime and homelessness and healthcare and all those? That's 2 hours, and you're going to earn 100 marks. Well, in the orals, within 6 to 8 minutes, you're going to earn 120 marks. So this exam is engineered to give you, the student, the very best opportunity to score full marks. So between the welcome, the poetry reading, and the conversation, you've bagged an awful lot of marks straight off the bat. Now, the Srat Pick Door, we're going to talk about this a little bit later in today's session, but the Srat Pick Door is actually quite doable, providing you do 2 things for me, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But look at the marking scheme for a Srat Pick Door. It's 80 marks, it's nearly worth the same as an essay. So we need to just change our mentality, right? We just need to kind of change how we think about the orals. And you have to trust me on this, that this exam is engineered to give you the best. This exam is engineered to give you the best chunk of marks possible. And I'm going to take you through all of these. Now, there's lots of stuff that you can talk about here, but one thing I really want to talk about was an email you dropped me in during the week. And I really like that you're actually emailing me in, and that you're chatting to me, and that you're telling me about your kind of fears, because the more you talk to me, the more I can help you, right? And someone said, Michal, I'm trying to learn about the environment, the political system. I'm trying to learn about the elections, Donald Trump in America. I'm trying to talk about what's happening in Germany. I'm like, are you interested in politics? And they were like, I'm not really interested in politics. And I was like, well, if you're not interested in politics, why are you bringing up politics? So this is really important. In French, German, Spanish, and Italian, you're going to be learning an awful lot of kind of more topical issues, because you have more time to talk. But in Irish, we only have 8 minutes to chat. So the chances of us getting on to kind of real topical civic and social issues is actually very slim unless you actually want to talk about it. So for example, if you said to me, Mihal, I want to do political science in Trinity College, I'd be like, perfect, obviously you're interested in politics, let's have a chat about it. Or if you said to me, Mihal, do you know I want to do environmental science in UCD next year, and I'd be like, perfect, you're obviously interested in environment, let's have a chat about it. But folks, if you are not interested in politics, don't bring it up. If you're not interested in the environment, don't bring it up. I'm not going to ask you what's your name, what's your age, who's the oldest in your family, tell me about Donald Trump in America. It's not going to happen like that. I'm going to take my lead from you. I'm going to take my cue from you. So you're going to help manipulate the conversation. So our material is actually an awful lot easier when it comes to the oral exam. We don't have to prepare as much as what you would have to do in the other exams, and ours only lasts 8 minutes. Now, you have a marking sample sheet there for you as well, if you want to have a look at that, kind of where the marks are in the breakdown of. So it's a little bit of bedtime reading there if you want to look at it. But let's get you started. Let's get you started on getting that 100%. Let's get the H1s, let's get the H2s, let's get the H3s, whatever H you need. Let's go for it now in the class. Now, the welcome. So we're on the next page. The welcome is beautiful, but I'm going to tell you one thing. The minute you walk into that room, the minute you push down on that door handle and you walk in, I'm actually going to say hello to you in Irish. I'm going to say Gia Ditch. And your response, I want you to be ready. Your response is, you're going to go for Gia Smuradich, which is hello back. Folks, I cannot count how many times I've actually talked to a student the minute they walk in the door and I say to them, Gia Ditch, and their face goes white. And you can pinpoint the exact moment their soul leaves their body and they're like, what's hello in Irish? I didn't prepare this. I did the environment and politics. Why didn't I think about saying hello in Irish? So be geared up. I'm going to say Gia Ditch when you walk in. I'm also going to say Conasatatu or Cain Cuiwiltu. How are you? How's things? Are you well? Because I'm not a monster. I want to know if you're well. Are you okay? How's things? So I want you to have your responses ready to say, Mihal, do you know what? Tame nervishach. I'm nervous, and that's good. Now, another email you dropped me in during the week was like, Mihal, I'm so stressed. I'm so nervous. I can't remember the material. And it's the nerves are getting to me. And you know what my response back to that student was? Nerves are fine. Nerves tell me that you care. You walk in and you're nervous. That's good, because then I know you're taking it seriously. You're concerned about the results. You're concerned about how this is going to go. So for me, nerves are a good sign that you want to do well. Could you imagine someone walking in and just throwing their jacket on a chair and being like, right, let's get this over and done with? That's going to create a bad impression straight off the bat. So tell me you're nervous. Mihal, do you know what? I'm a little bit nervous, but good, thanks. And you know what? Ask me how I am as well. That's always nice. Mihal, agus tú féin, and yourself. And I'll be like, do you know what? I'm grand as well, thanks very much. You laugh, I laugh, we'll share a little split second, and then we'll get down to the actual welcome itself. Now, this is going to be the admin side. You have 5 questions. Now, the 5 questions, there are 2 reasons why we're doing this. Number 1, it's literally the admin side of things. I've got this file in front of me and I want to make sure that the file matches the person that's sitting in front of me. So I'll need to know your name, your age, your exam number, where you were born, and your date of birth, just to make sure our file matches. But because we're sound, we're going to give you 5 marks for this. So this is just kind of the admin side of things, right? Now, after that, what this also does is it calms you down. You walk in, and we're going to ask you 5 questions. What's your name? What's your age? It's for you to sit down in the seat, check out the room, look at the examiner, get used to the examiner for 5 marks. It's just to calm you down, and it's just to bring the atmosphere down in the room. But it's a lovely, lovely 5 marks to get. So let's have a look at this, right? Now, Codasanam Ditch is your question. What is your name? Now, I'm going to need a full name. That's the thing, right? So I left a space there. So you can say Neve O'Sullivan or O'Sullivan is Anam Dum. But give me your full name and give me the full Is Anam Dum. Does it have to be in Irish? No. You can put it in Irish, you can put it in English, you can put it in both. It's up to you. It's your exam. But I do need your full name. So once you're able to tell me your name, you're going to get a mark. Off to college you go. Now, number 2, could you just screw differ? What is your exam number? And the thing is, you don't have to tell me my exam number is, the exam number that I have is, the exam number which I have is, the exam number which I've been given is. None of that. Bring it back. You're just going to say a hain, a do, a chi, a cahar, a cuig, a she, a shocked. Just give me the digits. So you don't actually need to give me that full sentence. So that's lovely and simple. So if you can get your digits right in Irish and you've got your name right, we could be going to Trinity after all. Now, question number 3. Kaje do Hiolu Balya. What is your address? Now, you just need 2 lines of an address. For example, number 1, Boher na Trae, or number 2, Dún Droma for Dundrum. but I just want us to go for tree. Tell me the road or the district you live in. Tell me kind of the area, Doon Drum, and just put in the county as well, because you might as well. Now you only do need two, but we might as well just go for the tree. So Tá mé Mahoney air I live on, and put in the road or the estate, put in the district, the area, and then put in the county. Very, very simple. So far, 3 out of 3. But these are simple questions. It's there to relax you. It's there to calm you. It's there just to get you kind of relaxed and eased into it. Now, number 4, I'm going to ask you, how old are you? So, Kini Shu. Now, here's the thing, right? If you are 16 years of age sitting this, you are going to be Shea Bliana Jagdish. If you are 17, 18, and 19 years of age, the examiner is going to want to hear the word Mliana. Right? So if you're 16, Bliana. Perfect. If you're 17, 18, and 19 years of age, we want that word Mliana. Now, question number 5, right? Question number 5 is going to be about your date of birth. Now, we're going to start off with Ruga May. Now, pronunciation-wise, you can just go as far as the letter A if you want, and you can use this, Ruga May, that's perfect. And what I have here for you is your date, plus the month, plus the year. So we're going to give 3 parts. We're going to give the date, we're going to give the month, and we're going to give them the year. Now, here's the thing. There's only a couple that we need to look out for. So here's the 1st, this is the 11th, this is the 21st, this is the 2nd, this is the 12th, this is the 22nd, and this is the 3rd, this is the 13th, and the 23rd, and so on. So they're all done in lines for you, so you can pick your date. If you are born on the 1st, or the 4th, or the 5th, make sure you have the letter G in here. An Guigu La is Fiha. An Guigu La Jake. Make sure you have that letter G in there, just for those ones, just where the red are. That's all. Everything else, you're fine. You don't need any grammar. You don't need to worry about anything. It's just straight up a date. Now, the second thing is you're going to give them the month. So the month that you were born is there. And the year that you were born, right? The year, we have this Ga Vila. So I want to hear that G sound. Ga. And I want to hear that letter V. Ga Vila is a do. Ga Vila is a tree. Ga Vila is a car. A cuig, a shay, a shocked. Very, very simple. But we need to put in the date, the month, and the year. Now, them 5 questions are very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. But don't forget, the examiner is going to talk to you when you walk in. The examiner is going to greet you when you walk in. Now, very, very quickly, let's talk about Srapik door. When you walk in, I want you to have a piece of paper. All right. I want the 10 Srapik door. I want their official numbers and their official titles written down clearly and legible. Okay, so you're going to bring a piece of paper in with you. You're going to have your 10 Srap pictures written out for me. The number is going to be beside them and the actual full title is going to be there. Whatever 10 you pick, it's up to you. 1 to 10, 11 to 20, or randomly picked ones, it doesn't make a difference. What I'll have is an envelope. I'll have an envelope with the 20 and you'll just pick a random one. So you'll pick a random Srap door from the envelope. And if it's not on your 10, you hand that back to me. Right, so when you pick a Srap door and you look at it and say, that's no, you can just hand that back to me. And then you'll go again and you'll pick out another Srap door. And you might pick out one and be like, no, that's not one of my 10 either. Hand it back to me. Do not pick do not do the first Srap door that you do. You might have to go 3, 4, 5 times. You might have to pick out 4 and you laugh, I laugh. Again, we'll share a little bit about, haha, this is so funny. And then you might pick out one and say, this is one of my own. And then you'll do your Srap door at the end then, right? So that's what's going to happen at the start. It'll be in an envelope, but you need to keep pulling the Srap door until you get one of your 10. Now, I'll have the 10 here with me as well, so you can't keep going until you get one that you like, because I'll be like, that's one of the ones that we have. So your examiner will know straight off the bat. So the introduction is done. The 5 marks for your Banu, the 5 marks for telling me your name, your age, your exam number, where you live, and when you were born. Lovely, simple. And by now, you're kind of getting into the whole thing of, do you know what? It's actually kind of not too bad. So it's just to bring the atmosphere down. Now, Leisha, you have a question coming in. For Mokanila questions, is a general rule to include 4 to 5 verbs? Yeah, 100%. Leisha, that's what we'll talk about in today's class after the break. We'll talk about the Mokanila questions. But yeah, I always go for 5 key verbs. But Leisha, I'm going to give you 5 verbs that you can use for any Mokanila question. I'm not going to use the cheat word, but we're just going to cut down on the amount of material that we'll have to do. I don't want to call it a cheat, but I'm going to show you how to bend the rules a little bit when it comes to the Mokanila. But yeah, definitely you're spot on, 100%. 5 key verbs is what we're going to go for. Now, the next part after this is we're going to talk about the poetry readings. So the poetry reading is fantastic. Remember at the start of this class I said to you this exam is engineered to give you the best marks possible. Have a look at this. The 5 poems that you're doing for paper 2 on Tarek here, Spalpin, Fánach, Mugrasa, Kolskar and Gavin, well, you're going to read me a poem. But here's the good thing. You are going to write the phonetics on that sheet of paper. Bring your poems into the oral exam, have your phonetics written out on a sheet of paper. I don't have my poetry there, sorry. Have your phonetics written out on a sheet of paper, and I'll say to you, read me maybe Kolskar, and you just read off your phonetics. Just think about it. We're going to get you to read a poem that you know, a poem that you've been studying for 2 years. Not only that, I'm actually going to say, do you know what, you can write down the phonetics on it and bring that into the exam with you. When I tell you this exam is geared up to give you the best possible chance at 100%, it really, really is. It's the easiest 35 marks that you will get. Now, have a look at what poems we're going to go for. We have Gavin, Kolskar, Mugrasa, Spalpin, and we have On Tarek here. But not all of them are going to be the same. For Gavin and Kolskar, we're going to get you to do the entire poem because they're very simple. It's literally just 2 verses. For Mugrasa, it'll be any tree. So it might be verse 1 and verse 2 and verse 3, or verse 2, verse 3 and verse 4. It'll be consecutively, right? So it'll either be like verse 1 and verse 2, or verse 2 and verse 3, or verse 3 and verse 4. It'll be consecutively. It won't be random, 5 and 1 and 4 and 2. It'll be 2 verses that are block to block together. So Mugrasa, any 3 verses that you want. Now Spalpin Fánach, which is what we're going to have a look at in today's class here in the next part, right? Spalpin Fánach is any 2 verses. So there's 3, so it'll be like verse 1 and verse 2, or verse 2 and verse 3. And again, on Tarek here, it'll be any 2 verses. 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. But you're going to write down the phonetics, and you're going to bring this in. Now, I've seen a couple of people online say, no, you don't get to bring it in. You do. You write down the phonetics, you walk in with that sheet of paper. So I have a quick question there. Hannah, do you bring the sheet of poems, or will the examiner have them there? Hannah, always bring in your set. Your examiner will have a set anyway, but the phonetics won't be written down on the examiner set. So make sure you, Hannah, have your own copy with the phonetics all written out on top, and make sure you bring that into the exam with you. Quick question there. Would you be able to reread the poem if something happens, a sneeze or a cough, or also how to say, can I start again? Oh, Amelia, yeah, 100%, yeah, Amelia. So if you sneeze or if you cough, it's not going to make it, it's fine. You don't really have to start again if you don't want to. Like, you can just continue on with the poem itself. It's not really a kind of a stressful thing. It's just you're reading me a poem. Now I'm going to get you to get a screen grab in a second, right? Because just a couple of minutes before I started class, someone actually emailed me and said, Michal, I need a little bit of help with the pronunciation of Irish. So what I have is a screen grab. Can you folks just get ready just to take this? This is your pronunciation. We're going to go through this in a couple of seconds, right? But Irish pronunciation is very logical, and Irish pronunciation is very structured, and Irish pronunciation is it's once you know your rules, you can pretty much pronounce an awful lot of Irish words anyway. There's this myth that Irish is kind of like it's hard to pronounce. If you know your rules, it'll be perfect. And this is what we're going to talk about in a second. So make sure you just screen grab that for me there. And then I'm going to walk you through on Spalpin Fánach now, what to say and how to say it. And when we go through the material for the topics, we're going to actually keep coming back to these rules in Irish. So you can say a wallia with a W because it's got A's around it, but you would say your BH becomes level with a V sound because it's got the letters I and E wrapped around it. So once you know your vowels, you'll be able to pronounce an awful lot of the words in Irish itself. Now, I have loads of material done on this just before we kick off, right? I have loads of material done for you on this. If you go onto the platform there, Grinds 360, there I am, arms folded, ready to put fodders on things, right? There's your workshops, there's questionnaires, the essays, sorry. I'll show you where your poetry is as well on the app. So that's your poems, your stories. There we go. So the orals, I've already done this all down for you. So each of the poems are already there with all the phonetics kind of written in and how to pronounce the words and why we're pronouncing the words as well. So they're all about kind of 10 minutes, 6 minutes each, all the way through on those. So your poetry is all there, and then all of your orals are all there as well. So you can kind of supplement all the material that you want with those. Right, let's have a look then. So we want to talk about Spalpin Fánach here for a second. Let's get a pen and let's get stuck into Spalpin Fánach. Now, my advice to you is, number 1, read the name of the poem and who wrote the poem. All right, so you're going to say Spalpin Fánach ní fios cé a chum. So let's go through this for the pronunciation, guys. Now I'm going to show you very quickly THs and SHs. H is called a shevu. Shevu means we soften, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to soften the sound that comes before it because we'd never pronounce a TH in Irish. Again, if you have an SH, H is called a shevu. Shevu means we soften down the letter, so we're not going to pronounce the S. These are two big things in on Spalpin Fánach. Now, the reason why I'm picking out Spalpin Fánach here for you is because I know it's the one you're all dreading, so I thought, let's do Spalpin Fánach. So, im Spalpin Fánach a tam le fada, there's nothing complicated there. And then we're going to go for ag shasiv with a V sound. Ag shasiv mo. Now we have that SH. H is a shevu, and a shevu means you need to soften the sound. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to soften out this letter S to the point you can't hear it. Ag shasiv mo hlancha. So I should not hear an S sound. And now, ag shul on druachta, we have a U there with a fada, which means that sound has to be quite long, because that's exactly what fada means in Irish. Fada means length. So you need to add a little bit of length to that sound. Ag shul on druachta, go moch modin. There's nothing complicated there as well. That's quite good. Now, the next one we have is ag bolju galler rahe. Now look at this, right? See that TH? That's what we have here. H is a shevu, and a shevu means you need to soften this down for the examiner to the point where you can't hear the letter T. So what we have is the word ra he. Now I'll make that a little bit bigger for you there. So ag bolju galler ra he. I should not hear the letter T. Now if you can do this for me all the way through, you're going to ace the poetry. Now glocked, so don't pronounce the F. Glocked. Fees, which is English, that should be kind of good. O re na groppies. And again, I'm going to hear that letter G. I'm not going to hear that letter C. So, o re na groppies. Now, glocked, let's not pronounce that F. Glocked fees o re na groppies. That's quite good. That's not too bad. Spalpin is not as bad as you think. Now, here we have that TH coming up again, right? So, TH. H means shevu. Shevu means soften, and that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to soften down that letter T as much as possible. So, cle. That's all. Cle is peak. Cle is peak. Chun sache. Chun sache. So listen to this line here, right? Cle is peak. Chun sache. And you get kind of a ch sound, like chin. Sache. Now the next one we have is gobrach arish ni gleifer manum. So gobrach, there's that A sound, there's that fada, make sure that lengthens out. So gobrach arish ni gleifer. We get to pronounce the F in this one here. Ni gleifer. Manium. Ni gleifer manium. Sachir Shaw on Spalpin Fánach. So Sachir Shaw on Spalpin Fánach. Basically, we just have a series of THs and SHs. And if you know that the H always softens down the previous letter, you're going to be fine. So it's not as bad as you think. Now let's go and have a look at verse number 2 for Spalpin Fánach. So the first part we have here is Bavinnic mo hriel. So what we're going to do, can you pop the letter V above that here? We've got ba, and we're going to go for vinnic. Bavinnic mo, and we have that TH, which means we're not going to pronounce that T. Hriel, hriel. Bavinnic mo hriel go clun yal mala. Is os shin go tiberdarn. That's quite good, that's grand. So os sun go tiberdarn, os shin go tiberdarn, that's fine. Quick question coming in from Chloe. How are you doing, Chloe? Do you have to pronounce the apostrophes? This is the word apostrophe here, right? It's actually just that word is. That's all it is. And we've just cut out the letter I on it. So that's all it is. So is, os sun go tiberdarnus, os shin go tiberdarden. Yeah. So is what we're going to pronounce in that. But that's where it is. Is os shin go tiberdarden. Now, Chloe, I'm going to just tell you one other thing, right? That word is that we have in Irish in your poem here in Spalpin Fánach is actually the word agus. But because it's a song and it's to rhyme, we mash the words in a little bit. So is os shin go tiberdarden on shin. Igarig na shure he is to yaring. Now this line, let's have a look at this, right? So igarig, we need that G sound, so I'm not going to pronounce the C. Igarig na shure, and then that word TH, there's that H again. I need you to keep that T silent. I garrig na siúra hias. Hias. I shouldn't be able to hear the letter T. When you don't pronounce that letter T, I'm like, brilliant, this is fantastic. Now, do yaring. This one, I'll admit, is a little bit. So, go for the letter Y at the start. Yar. Do yaring. And go for an ing sound at the end of it. Ellie, the notes are actually on the newsfeed themselves. So if you just go back to the newsfeed on the main platform and just click the notes, they're all there for you. So, I garrig na siúr hias do yaring. So I'll admit that line possibly a little bit more of a challenge. Cursa, but there's that TH again. Sorry, so here's that cursa. Lahan, I do not want to hear the letter T because the H means a shevu and a shevu means soften or silence. So cursa, lahan, liger. Cursa, lahan, liger. I galan godlu mohushta im glock. Now again, this letter G here, I do not want to hear the letter C. So we're going to go for galan, go, and then there's that H. Spalping phonic is just a series of THs all the way through, THs or SHs, and once you know these, you're actually fine. And you consider spalping phonic to be kind of one of the most challenging of the poems themselves. So there's my H, which means I'm going to soften down that letter T, and it's the word delu, go, delu, is, mo, and we have another H. So again, I'm going to soften down that letter S to the point where I can't actually hear it. And what have I got here? Hushte. So, mo igalan godlu, mo hushte im glock. Now, so im glock, that's fine. That's no problem there. Eg dol chun tosi caird low. That's grand. Eg dol chun, you can say tosig caird low. Eg dol chun tosi caird low. Whichever you want, those are fine. Now, Thomas, you have a question here. Do you have to have a type of rhythm when reading the poem? And that's another question as well as someone else has asked. So when it comes to actually reading the poem, what I'm listening for is the key pronunciation points in Irish. I want you to kind of pronounce it in a rhythm that was meant to be written in and meant to be read in. So again, like kind of you should have that rhythm in it because there's an awful lot of rhyming towards the end of it, like Aaron and Garden and Glock, and we have Yo. Like there's an awful lot of rhythm and rhyming going through all of these. So we do want to have that. But Thomas, do me a favor, right? This should not be an OTT demonstration of like, I'm going to read you a poem and I'm going to put my heart and soul into the poem where it's going to be awkward for me and you at the same time. So we don't need to kind of put in a dramatic representation of the poem, if you get me. So it's nothing like that. Read the poem how it was meant to be read. So where there's rhyme, just rhyme all the way through. But we don't need those dramatic kind of mid-air grabs. We don't need any of them dramatic kind of parts when it's reading the poem. I want to make sure that you can actually pronounce the Irish letters and the Irish sounds and the H's. That's pretty much it. And after that, then just read it how it's supposed to be read. Now the last part, nor haim go tarless. And again, there's that TH, right? Which means, H means shevu. And that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to soften down that letter T. Is nor a haim. So I should not hear that T sound. Nor a haim go tarless. Is a should. So we've got two letters here. Is a should. And then what I want is that V sound here. Vín a gum. Vín a gum. So let's go for that line again. Is nor a haim godurlis. Is a should vín a gum. Shin hugav on spalping phonic. And what I want here, I want that V sound. Now all of this, I'm going to pop that pronunciation guide back up onto your screens a couple of seconds, right? But listen to this. Shin huiv or shin hugav, whichever way you want to pronounce it, it's fine. But I need that V sound at the end, right? I need that V sound on spalping phonic. Irish has three dialects on our island: Northern, Western and Southern. This is not a game of sounding like you're from the hills of Donegal. This is not a game of sounding like you're from the islands of Kerry. You can use your accents. We don't have to put on a fake accent like you do in French, German, Spanish and Italian. You have to mimic a French and German and Spanish. Your accents are fine. We don't need to put on an accent. But what we do need to do is hit certain pronunciation points in Irish. And that's what I want to make sure. Do you know how to pronounce Irish? So have a quick look at this again, right? Get ready to put on a screen grab. But these are the main key pronunciation points that we have in Irish, that once you know these rules with the H, you're pretty much good to pronounce an awful lot of the material. Can you pronounce GH words like gra, please? Because when I try and pronounce it, it sounds like an AC. Leisha, yeah, that's no problem, right? Now, Leisha, you have two ways of going for that G sound here. So it'll come in the back of your throat a little bit. So mo, ra. So you'll hear that more so, that r sound in the back. It's not the nicest of sounds, Leisha, I'll admit that. It doesn't sound pleasant. It's a little bit kind of phlegmy as well in the back. Mo, rasa. So if you can kind of get that r sound in the back, that's all you need. As long, and as you said yourself, as long as it doesn't sound like a K sound, that's grand. So mo, rasa. Try and get that G sound in the back of your throat. Again, not the nicest, but don't overthink it either. Don't kind of stress about it, don't panic about it, but just do your best to show the examiner, look, I know it's not an actual GC sound, but I'm putting the effort in. Now, all of our poems that I've done for you are all on our platform anyway, so I'll go through this on the videos, but I'll actually explain why it's pronounced the way it is. So I don't have enough time with you today because I want to get onto the topics now. So this is all on the platform anyway, so you can have a look at that, and the video tells you how to pronounce it and why we're pronouncing it a certain way. But once you have that screenshot, that's Irish pronunciation. Now folks, let's keep going with the material because I know I want to get into the 120 marks. We've looked at your welcome, lovely and simple, 5 marks, and it's there to kind of bring the atmosphere down. It's there to kind of make sure that the administration side of things is okay and that you're fine and that you're relaxed and you're comfortable. Straight after that, you're going to read me a poem. You write in those phonetics, you bring them phonetics into the exam, and I'll pick a poem for you, and I'll say, read me Spalping Fánach. And now you know Spalping Fánach is actually just a series of THs and SH sounds. And once you know what to do with those, you're fine. You don't need to be dramatic in the presentation, you don't need to be dramatic in reading the poem, but just show me that you know your pronunciation in Irish. Now, the other reason why the poetry is there is actually to just kind of calm you down again, just to kind of make sure that the atmosphere drops in the room and that you're comfortable, you're sitting okay, things are going okay, you're used to me, you're used to my Irish, you're used to me kind of chatting to you and my tone of my voice, and you realising, you know what, he's not actually that bad, he's actually alright. So once we have the admin side of things, the welcome and the poetry, now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about you. And I love this section because I'm kind of a nosy person. I want to know how many's in your family. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about what's your sports. I want to know about your music. I want to know what you want to do next year after college. I'm going to show a genuine interest in you, but here's the thing. It's about you. You know the answers. You know how many brothers and sisters you have. You know what sports you like and what sports you don't like. You know what music you like and what music you don't like. So you already know the answers. So for the first time ever, the tables are turned. I know nothing. And I do find the orals, talking to students, I do find them quite stressful at times because I'm trying to think of, God, what will I ask now, and will I ask this question? Don't be afraid to lead me up the garden path with a couple of things, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this class. So now let's get into the topics. Now let's start looking at this. Now before we start this, my goal is not to overload you in today's class. It's not to make you feel overloaded with notes and learn this and learn these 400 sentences and learn this 490 line paragraph. But I want us to use today as a checklist that, yeah, I have those done, Michal. I want you to feel confident leaving my class today, right? And say, yeah, do you know what? The things you talked about today, I have them, my material, and you'll feel so much better about going into school tomorrow. Number 2, I want us to use today for revision. I want us to use today for like, yeah, perfect, I have that, and I have that, and I remember this, and I remember this, and I remember this, perfect. And the third thing I want us to do is I want to show you ways to elevate your Irish. I want to show you nice, short, simple things that every single one of you can do in order to elevate your Irish and kind of stand out a little bit more, because you've been working so hard. You've been practicing in class. You've been doing a phenomenal job over the past couple of weeks getting your notes and getting stuff ready. So today's class, I'm going to show you things that you can do to actually elevate your level of Irish. So the first thing, right, do you see the question Kiveda Tasa Chilok? One of the things I need here is I need to hear that R sound. So when we're talking about how many people are in your family, your examiner is listening out for Kahrer, Kuiger, Shesher, Shochter, Ukter, Ninur, Jetnur. Do me a favor. Highlight how many people are in your family, and I need to hear that letter R. So that's the first thing I want you to do. Now the second thing I want us to do as well when it comes to talking about your actual, your family, is the difference between clan and Chilok. Now we have to be very, very careful with this. Chilok is mom, dad, and its brothers and sisters. Right, that's your Chilok. Clan is used for your kids. So if you tell me, Michal, ta kuiger im mochlan, you're telling me, Michal, I have 5 kids. I'm not sure, but I don't think maybe that's quite accurate, right? Clan is used for like kids or siblings in a family. What the word we should be using is actually the word Chilach. So tá cuigar ima hailach, tá shesher ima hailach, tá shachter ima hailach. That's perfect. That's what I really want. Now, if you're using the structure tá cuigar ima hailach, tá shesher ima hailach, that's fine. That's perfect, right? But I'm going to show you two other ways that I think you could actually use it. Look at this one here on the left-hand side. Tá shesher a going savalya. So tá shesher a going savalya. There are 6 of us at home. So we're not using that same kind of tá cuigar ima hailach, tá shesher ima hailach. And if you look, my word is actually a little bit more easier. My phrase is actually a little bit more easier than tá cuigar ima hailach, and it's easier to pronounce. The only thing we're going to go for here is we want to make sure that that volya has a V sound. Tá shesher a going sa volya. Or I can give you another variation. I can say shachter fad atá sa volya. And again, we can give that examiner that V sound there. So shachter fad atá sa volya, 7 in total are at home. Shachter fad atá sa volya. So I think they're kind of nice phrases to help you kind of stand out. So if you have tá cuigar ima hailach, that's perfect. But why not swap it out a little bit more? Now, when it comes to your numbers, how many's in your family, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have a look at this. In Irish, when you have 2 brothers, 3 brothers, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, make sure that number comes first, all right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, put that first, and then put in the word brother and sister. There's only one that we have to be careful about, and it's the word awan, because that is going to come after the word brother and sister. So have a look at this. If you're going to say 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, make sure you put it first, and then put in brother, sister. However, if you only have 1 brother or 1 sister, make sure you put in brother and sister and then the number 1 after that. Be careful with that. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. Sister. I understand that these kind of look quite similar. Brother and sister look quite similar, right? So what we're going to do is, if you do get mixed up between brother and sister in Irish, I want you to think F for female, right? So think drafur, that has F. F is the female, so drafur is sister. That's how I would remember it as well. Mia, how are you getting on? How's things? How do you manage if the examiner has a very different accent and dialect to you? Can you ask them to repeat the question slowly? Mia, 100%, yeah, Jesus. Definitely talk to your examiner. So you can tell me, Mihal, sorry, can you say that again? Arish led the hull. That's fine, that's perfect. And Mia, you're not going to do any damage to your marks. It's not going to hamper your marks. It's not going to bring your marks down. So when you don't understand or you kind of mishear what the examiner's saying, just say Gomaleshgil Arish led the hull again, please. And I'll give you again. I'll give you the question again, and I'll probably rephrase it in a nicer way. I'll probably rephrase it in a much more simpler way to make sure you get it. Because when you're asking me to repeat something, what I'm thinking is, oh geez, they didn't hear the question. How can I say it easier? And then I'll give you the material a little bit easier. So don't be afraid to tell me when you didn't hear something or you just want to clarify it. I think the worst thing we can actually do is think, I hope this is what they asked me, and then go for it. That's where we'll do a little bit of damage. So if you're like, geez, I don't actually know, but I'm going to give you what I learned at school anyway, that's where we'll do a little bit of damage with the marks itself. But don't be afraid to be saying, Mihal, can you just repeat that again? But great question. Ryan, this is a great question as well. Should you say mohishti or neither? No, Ryan, you can say mohishti, right? So what we can go for is mohishti for my parents, but again, don't pronounce that letter T. Mohishti. Or Tishmahori, whichever one you want to use, Ryan. Both are fine, but make sure it's the M-O part that you have. Aaron, how would you introduce your family? Would you bring it in if you were asked to tell the examiner about yourself? Aaron, I think this is kind of going to be one of the most commonly starting questions for an examiner, where I want to kind of assess, I want to think maybe a higher level, ordinary level. So I'll say to you, do you know what, Aaron, tell me about your family, and then you can tell me there's 5 in my family, I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters. Then you can actually start then to talk about it, but your examiner would probably start with the Chilok question just to kind of gauge where we are with the material itself. Sarah, would you mind quickly, absolutely not Sarah, 100%, so would you mind quickly mentioning the pronunciation of Mugrahar? I will indeed. Right, so let's go for this one. So my brother. Now, Sarah, there are 2, because we have 3 dialects in the island, you can actually pronounce this 2 ways. Let's go for the most common way that I know every one of you know in Irish, right? We can go for a G sound. So we have mo grehar. So we've got that G sound, and remember the H means we are not going to pronounce that letter T. So mo grahar. Now, if you're from Monaghan, Loud, parts of Mayo, Sligo, and little bits of Leitrim as well, I think what you would have is a Y sound, and especially Donegal, obviously, this mo yahar, but you can pronounce it any way that you want. So, folks, there are 3 dialects on our island. So no matter how you're pronouncing Irish, really, you're kind of getting it right somewhere, which is one thing I love about teaching Irish, because it's kind of quite flexible and stuff. But go for that G sound at the start anyway. Now, let's go and have a quick look, because I know I have a couple of questions here talking about actually siblings and how to talk about them very, very quickly. So what we're going to do is go on to the next page, and I'll show you the next thing I'll need you to have in your starting material. And it's the words old, older, oldest, young, younger, youngest. I want you all to have this in it. Now, if you have a family where there's 5 or 6, you do not need to prepare 6 different profiles on the people. Pick the oldest, pick the youngest, and maybe if you're in the middle as well. And you don't need to tell me I'm the 2nd oldest, I'm the 3rd oldest, I'm the 4th, 5th from the bottom oldest. Just keep it short and simple. Have a couple of lines on who the oldest is. Have a couple of lines on this on the second part on who the youngest person is, and if you're somewhere in the middle of the family, that's 3. So let's have a look at this, right? Is misha on dinner is oige. Now, on dinner is oige, the youngest person. And you can say is misha for I am. On dinner is oige, the youngest person, sa clan. Now, clan here means kids, siblings. So you're telling me you're the youngest of the clan, which means I'm the youngest of the children in the family. So remember, Chilok is mom, dad, brothers and sisters. Clan specifically means the actual kids of the family. Now, if you're not the youngest of the family, you can tell me is a Sean. Sean is on dinner is oige, the youngest person. And here's that word sa. Sa means in the. That's all it means. In the clan. Now let's go over onto the right hand side, right? We want to talk about who old, older, oldest in your family. So let's go for on dinner is shinna, the oldest person. So maybe you are. Is misha. I am. On dinner is shinna. I am the oldest. Sa clan in the family. Or you might want to say maybe a brother or a sister is the oldest in the family. So for example, we could say is Neve on dinner is shinna, the oldest person. And is Neve. Neve is on dinner is shinna, the oldest person. And there's that word again, sa, meaning in the. So sa in the clan family. Same structure as English. Now, if you're in the middle of the family, what a beautiful phrase. I love this. It's a tishel ginnadoc. It's a tishel ginnadoc in the feminine. And if you've been taking my workshops on Wednesday of how to Irish and Irish grammar and how to write your own material, basically, pop it into the conversation box. It's a tishel ginnadoc, but can you tell me whether it's a tishel ginnadoc masculine or a tishel ginnadoc feminine? So Elarna Clinia means in the middle of the family. Bonus points if you can tell me why it's a tishel ginnadoc. So if you've been in the workshop, the writing workshops with me every Wednesday at 3:30, tell me what type of tishel ginnadoc it is, and can you tell me why it's that type of tishel ginnadoc? You'll get my admiration for a couple of seconds. 8 tops. Now, ta me, I am. So ta me, Elarna Clinia, I am in the middle of the family. Now, if you're an only child, Páiste Éinear. Is Páiste Lísha straight in there, well done, excellent. Is Páiste Éinear me, I am, Ryan straight in there as well. Excellent, very, very good. So is Páiste Éinear me, I am an only child. Perfect, well done. Excellent, folks. So it is a tishel ginnadoc, and it's a feminine tishel ginnadoc because of the na in it as well, and the e at the end. Elarna Clinia, and you're spot on. Why is it a tishel ginnadoc? Because we don't have a word for of in Irish. How do we get around using the word of in Irish? That spelling system, the tishel ginnadoc, does it for us. Well done, fantastic. Now, next question, Alex. When talking about siblings in the plural, do you use drahar or draharica? I would have thought it is acha, but I don't always see a change. Alex, this is the good thing about Irish. It's your language. So if you want to say birch and you are trur and catra and you want to say drahar, you can. If you want to say draharica, you can. So there's different little parts in Ireland where you can say drahar or draharica, drafur, drafurica. Irish is Irish at the end of the day. So Alex, it comes down to kind of what you want to use, because this is your language, this is your exam, so you pick what you want to use. Aristo, what years? This is for every year. For this year, the SRAP pictors are going to be a little bit different. If you're in maybe 5th year, we're going to do certain SRAP pictors at the end of this. This is for 2025. Now, just the SRAP pictors. So for the last 40 minutes, I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. But you're good right all the way up for this. Is perfect. Nicole, our teacher said that they can't bring up family unless you do because of family issues. Is this true? Nicole, what you'll get is, yeah, your teacher's right. What you'll get is pretty much you'll get a generic question, like tell me about your family or how many's in your family. You'll get kind of that generic question. Now, I don't like asking family questions, so I tend to just throw out one question. Tell me about yourself and your family. And then we can talk about it. But I won't pry. I will let you talk about your family. I will let you say what you want to say, but I'm not going to press the family issue. And that's really important. So I would say prepare family, tell them what you want to talk about in your family. Tell me who is the oldest, who is the youngest, who's in the middle of the family. Give me all that great vocab, all these great grammatical structures. Brilliant. But I'm not going to pry. I'm not going to say, and is your dad working? And what's your ma do? I'm not going to ask questions like that. So it's very personal. It's kind of quite private. So for us, it's very student led. So I just want you to give the information, but your examiner's not going to push when it comes to the actual family issues themselves. Folks, you are on fire tonight with that Tishel Ginnadoc. Love it. Brilliant. Right, let's keep going. So we have the Nís Sinne and the Nís Oige as well. So let's have a quick look at this. So Nís Sinne means older. So tá mé or tá Sean. Sean is Nís Sinne, older. And there's that word ná, meaning than. Than. Ná mé, than me. Same structure as English. Now, maybe Niamh is younger. You want to say a sister is younger, right? So let's go for Nís Oige. There it is, Nís Oige. So younger, and we know that tá Niamh is Nís Oige, younger. And we have that word ná, meaning than, and mé, meaning me. Same structure as English. Right, so far so good. Let's go on and talk about the other thing that I'm listening for in Irish, and it's the word year. This is really, really important. Folks, will you do me a favour? Will you write NB beside this? This is one thing that we are actually all specifically listening out for. So I want to make sure you have this in your notes and you have it down and that there's no confusion. Now, the word year can change. There are 3 categories, 1, 2, and 3, right? So there's going to be 3 categories themselves. Ages 1 and 2. What we have here is bhliain with a V sound. So if you have a younger brother or sister who is 1 year or 2 years of age, make sure you say to the examiner, bhliaindís, right? Now the next category after that, maybe you have a brother or a sister who is 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to go for bhliaina. So can you hear the difference? I'll just make that a little bit bigger, right? Bhliain for 1 and 2. When it comes to 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're going to go for bhliaina. And then if you've got a brother or sister that's maybe 7, 8, 9, and 10 years of age, well, what we have here then is the word mbliana. But here's the good news. It stays in the category, right? Because Irish is so patterned and logical. If you've been taking my classes, you know this is the hill I'm willing to perish on. Irish is a very structured language. So if you are 11 and 12 years of age, you're still going to be in the bhliain category with that V. 1 and 2 stays the same. It doesn't make a difference if you're 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, 71. You're always going to be in that category of bhliain. Now let's go to the next category, right? We know that 3, 4, 5, and 6 is bliana. Perfect. Because Irish is such a beautiful, beautiful language, when you're 13, 14, 15, and 16 years of age, you're still going to be bliana because we're logical. Like French could never be this logical. Now, 7, 8, 9, and 10, that's perfect. You're going to be mbliana, and that's going to be the same category for us there. If you are 17, 18, and 19 years of age, you are still going to be mbliana. So the categories stay the same, and it doesn't make a difference if you're 7, 17, 27, 37, 47, 57, 60, 107. You're still in this category of mbliana. Now, if you have a brother or sister who is 20, this is beautiful. It just goes back to the normal. At this stage, Irish is like, you know what, we've given you 3 different types. We don't need a 4th one. Just go back and say bhliain. Just go back to the normal one itself. But do me a favour. Make sure you have that in your notes. Now, I know you've been working really, really hard, but we just want to make sure that we've got a checklist of things that are now solid, that we can lock in and we can say, yeah, have that, perfect. But that bhliain is really, really, really important. Right, let's go on to the next part of our family. So we've got in the old, older, oldest, we've got in all of them years. So let's have a look at a sample answer. Now here is where we're going to start manipulating the conversation, because I want you to control the conversation. This is a chat about you. So you tell me what you want to talk about. It's so nice when a student actually steps up and is like, Mihal, I'll take it from here. Then I can kind of relax and just kind of listen to what your life basically, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about who you get on well with in the family. Now, very, very quickly, I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to pick a person you get on well with in the family and a person you don't get on well with in the family. Why? Because we're going to use this to launch into other topics. So for example, I get on well with Mark because we have the same interest in sport. Well, my next question's pretty much going to be, you like sports, what do you like about sports? And you're like, well, Mihal, funny you should ask. I play sports 5 nights a week, I've won loads of medals, I'm the best at hurling. But I don't get on well with mum and dad because mum and dad put me under a lot of pressure with school. And be like, you're under pressure with school. Tell me, how many subjects are you doing? You're like, well, I'm doing 7 subjects, 6 higher level and 1 ordinary level. And then we can start talking about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this to spring into another topic. So let's have a look at our material here. Now, again, I'll answer your questions as we're going along. We'll go through this and then we'll look at your questions, right? So who you get on well with the family, we're going to manipulate the conversation. Number 1, Rachim gohintach le. Now, Rachim means I get on with, right? But I'm going to put in the word gohintach, which means amazingly. So Rachim gohintach le, I get on amazingly with. And now we're going to go for mo grifur. And again, I think it was Sarah. You asked me about the pronunciation of sister or brother. It's the same thing. Let's pop the letter G in over that. Mo grifur with my sister Shifre. Kego will she gavlin ni soigan on me. Let's go for the key vocab in this, right? We have gavlin nis oiga, 2 years younger. Same structure as English. Gavlin, 2 years. Nis oiga, younger. Na me than me. That's the same thing we did a couple of seconds ago. Now the first part I love because it's taken away from the use of ta. So students kind of use ta over and over and over and over again. Ta. But look at this. Kego will she means even though she is. Kego will she. Now that's fantastic. So instead of saying she is 2 years younger, what I want you to do now is take out that word ta, and if you can manage it, put in kego will she, even though she is 2 years older than me, or younger than me. Now kahavaim shirikirna. Now here's where we're going to start manipulating the conversation. We're going to be sneaky, right? Now kahav aimshira kena. Kena means same, right? So same. Kahav aimshira, the same pastimes. Now you're sowing a seed thinking, Mihal, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to start talking about pastimes now. Now, being nakav aimshda kane again, we have the same pastimes. Is minnig a veen with birch and we a larna parka in mon trainala. Let's go for the end sentence here because I think this is something you really like. See in mon trainala. Training. Now, if I was to ask you in class, we're like, what's the word that you have for training? You might tell me, Mihal, eg trainal. And if you have eg trainal is fantastic. I love it. That's perfect. That's brilliant. And you can use eg trainal. But if you want to take it up a notch, this in mon trainal, that's fantastic. It's the same thing, training. So let's go back to the start of the sentence, right? Is minnig a veen muid birch. Now, is minnig means it's often. Is minnig a veen muid birch. It's often the two of us are. So here's my first part. Is minnig. It's often, and we know birch is two people. So is minnig a veen muid birch. It's often the two of us are. See the word here, amwe, out. And I have a Larna Parka, another beautiful Tishel Kinlock, in the middle of the pitch, in the middle of the field, I Larna Parka. And then we're putting on eg trainal or imon trainal. Now again, we're going to start linking it into sport, because now I'm starting to think sports. Now, Adring Faina 1, I love this as a filler. What I mean by a filler, right, is it buys you a couple of seconds before you launch into a statement. So in French, you use words like you've got all those in French, German, Spanish, the lesser languages. But in Irish, you could use this. Adring Fain means between us. Adring Fain, between us. Now, if you put in the word awan, Adring Fain awan, it means just between us. Which means I think I'm going to get some gossip. I'm like, oh, tell me. So, Adring Fain awan, just between us. Ta me nis far na I. And there's that word again, nis far, better. So, ta me, I am nis far, better. And we've already had that word, haven't we? The word na. Na means than. So, na I, than her. Na a, than him, if you're talking about your brother. Tá mé níos tapúla. Níos tapúla, quicker. So tá mé, I am níos tapúla, quicker. And then we're going to put in air on bark. Now have a look at this. Irish and English are actually very similar. Air on bark means on the pitch. Same structure as English. In fact, fun fact, and if you attend the grinds with me, you know I always say this every night and you're probably sick of it, but Irish and English are only different structurally in 3 ways. Just 3. 3 ways Irish and English are structurally different. Other than that, we have so much in common. Now, what you're doing here is you're being very clever. Now you're starting to get me thinking, Michal, wouldn't it be great if we talked about sports? Now, I hate sports. I hate sports. Absolutely think I hate it. When we talk about sports a little bit later in today's class, you're going to have to help me who these people are because I haven't a clue. So that's where I need you to step up and start controlling the conversation. So that can lead us on to talk about sports. What about school? What happens if you want to talk about school? Well, let's have a look at sample answer number 4 here, right? So is féidir somebody a vet Jean galore Arden? Look at this part here. Jean galore means tough enough, strict enough. Jean galore. Now let's go back to the first part. Is féidir le person? For example, is féidir le mam, is féidir le dad, is féidir le my uncle, is féidir le my auntie, means my aunt can, or my uncle can, or my mam can, or my dad can. You can put in whoever you want. So is féidir le mam a bheith. Now, mam a bheith means to be. So mam is able to be strict on me. Mam is able to be strict on me. Jean galore. And the means on me. So Jean galore, tough enough, strict enough, any of those will be perfect. The parts in grey here are if you want to step it up a little bit. If you want to kind of throw in a little couple of phrases. You don't have to use all of the grey, but you can use them here and there. So let's have a look at this one. Go háirithe in Irish means especially. So as féidir le mam a bheith Jean galore odum, mam is able to be tough on me. Go háirithe especially. Agus mé ag tuairt faoin airteist. This phrase is very, very fancy. Ag tuairt faoin airteist means undertaking the Leaving Cert. 9 times out of 10 what most students will tell me is Michal, tá mé ag deanú na hairteiste, tá mé ag déanamh na hairteiste, I'm doing the Leaving Cert. Perfect, deadly. And if you have that phrase, fair play to you. That's a great phrase to have. But if you want to step it up a little bit, and instead of saying ag déanamh na hairteiste, this phrase here, ag tuairt faoin airteist, very, very fancy. I'm undertaking the Leaving Cert. That sounds really nice, doesn't it? So undertaking the Leaving Cert. And we're going to finish off with the word I mlína, which means this year. Now throw a line underneath the word I mlína. That's a really nice way to say this year in Irish. I know that you know an bhliain seo for this year. An bhliain seo. I mlína is a lovely way to use it as well. Now, I have a question for you. You know your words ceapam for I think, don't you? Because you use all of these in your or in your poems. You probably also have the word sílim, and maybe if you're unfortunate enough to be from Cork and Kerry, or even from the West and Galway, you might have words like massam. 3 ways of saying I think in Irish. Ceapam, sílim, massam. Perfect. If you have them, brilliant. I'm going to give you something different. See this word here, istócha. Istócha means I suppose, I reckon. So istócha go bhfuil sé, I reckon. That he is, or that she is, go bhfuil sé, go bhfuil she. Ag smaoineamh ar mo hon, thinking on my behalf. Same structure as English. Ag smaoineamh ar mo hon, thinking on my behalf, thinking on me. Le ceangal is a fantastic phrase to have, right? Le ceangal, it means furious, fuming, fit to be tied. I know for a fact you have words like farrig and farrig on down. They're fantastic words to have. But if you're looking for something different, le ceangal, it means fuming, furious. And this is the thing we're going to learn about today with Irish, right? Your Irish doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to have long-winded, complex sentences. We can use short, simple sentences. We can use nice, but the thing is, we want to throw in a nice bit of vocab every now and again. That's like the examiner's like, I didn't hear that today. That's a nice phrase. That's what we want to go for with the Irish orals. So bíonn sé le ceangal, he does be fit to be tied, he does be fuming, bíonn sé le ceangal. Nuair a bhíonn an clan ag trid faoin telefís, faoi cheol or faoi sport, look at what we're doing here. So na ravine on clan, when the family does be, when the kids do be, when the siblings, that's the word clan, do be. Ag tridge, fighting. Now ag tridge faoin telefish, fighting about the television. Now if you stop there, I'd be like, what are you watching on telly at the moment? You're like, Mihal, I'm watching, and you can put in the show that you're watching. So you're manipulating that conversation from, you're kind of stepping up and you're taking control of the conversation. Now, if you don't want to talk about the television, don't tell me that you fight about the television. Tell me, being with tridge fui hiol, we fight about music. And again, I'd be like, what music are you listening? And you can put in any type of bad music that your generation listens to. Or if you want to talk about sport, again, now would be the time to tell me he doesn't like when we fight about sport. And I'd be like, what sports do you play? So this is you stepping up and taking the conversation, and you're going to tell me what we're going to talk about. Now, brishin and neroga air, brishin and neroga or he depend if it's masculine and feminine. It's a fantastic phrase, right? Na neroga is the patience, the nerves. So brishin na neroga air, his patience breaks air, or her patience breaks, we'll put in arhi. Brishin na neroga air, brishin na neroga arhi. We can finish off with a little gumyon minik. Gumyon minik means very often. So go mion minik, very often. And the last word we have here is the word kracha. Kracha means tormented. So being she, he does be. Being she does be. Kracha, absolutely tormented. And the aguin part here just means by us. So kracha aguin. Now, family is quite important because we now want to start telling the examiner what we would like to start talking about. We have only 8 minutes to have a chat about you, your life, your family, your sports, your hobbies. You've put in so much work. You've put in so much effort. You've got your notes. You've been practicing like mad. So we need to be clever with our time. All the stuff that you've learned, we want to find ways of talking about that. All the stuff that you've kind of learned over the past couple of months, we want to find ways of actually using that for the examiner. So when we ask you, who do you get on well with in the family? Have somebody that you get on well with, and we can talk about hobbies and pastimes. Tell me somebody you don't get on well with, and again, we can talk about maybe things that you clash over, like school or sports or music. But you have to find ways of starting to manipulate the conversation. And when you start manipulating the conversation, A, the 8 minutes are going to fly by. Absolutely fly by. But B, your communication marks are going to go up, and they're going to go through the roof because you're controlling the conversation and it's not the examiner. So very kind of subtle things that we can do with the material itself. Right, let's keep going right with the next part of our material then. We want to talk about where you live. So we've talked about the key points for family. Let's move on now and have a look at the word for where you live. One of the things I would love if you could all do is take it up a notch for me here, right? So you can say Ta me Machoni for I live, Ta me Machoni Molyaklia, Ta me Machoni Loch Garman, Ta me Machoni Gilvanton. That's perfect. But watch what you can do very, very simply to elevate those marks up in Irish. So tell me that I was born and I was raised, or I was born in and I was raised in, whichever one you want to use, right? Ruga means was born, and toga means was raised. So you can use one or the other, or you can use both together, right? But when it comes to your counties, I want you to use words north, south, east, and west. For example, I was born in North Dublin. I was born in South Cork. I was born in West Wexford. I was born in East Galway. By adding in one word, you're elevating your Irish. So, in Neshgart Valia, right? So, in Neshgart means in South Dublin, in Neshgart Valia. Now, if you're born in North, maybe North Meath, North Galway, North Leitrim, you would say Dushgart. So Dushgart. Now, number 3 here, in her. Her is the word for east. Maybe you were born in East Galway, East Leitrim, East Roscommon. Is there even an East Roscommon Ryan? I don't know. Maybe there is. And the last one you have there is the word Earher, and it's the word for west. So in Earher. Tell me whether you're born in north, south, east, or west. It'll just add a massive difference to your Irish. Now, we're not finished there. We're going to add on that little bit more. In Oich Darbanium. Now, do me a favour, right? In Oich Darbanium, can you pop in the letter H there for me? So, in Oich Darvanium. In a place by the name of. So, Darvanium, by the name of. And then you can pop in your place. Now, I know not all of you are all fortunate enough to be born outside of Gorey, County Wexford, but tell me whereabouts you are in north, south, east and west in Áit Darvanium in a place by the name of. Now we're not finished yet, right? We're going to add on that little bit more. Now trust me, stay with me on this one, right? So in Áit Darvanium in a place by the name of, and let's go for the next part here. Sráidbhaile beag ciúin. The word Sráidbhaile is the word for a village. And 9 times out of 10, what you'd get students saying is Sráidbhaile é, it's a village. Now that's good, that's great, right? If you have that, perfect. But look at what you can do. 2 words that you already know in Irish, 2 words that you already possess in Irish, where you can elevate your Irish up. You can tell me is Sráidbhaile beag ciúin é. It's a little quiet village. That's perfect, that's beautiful. But you know words beag and you know ciúin, so why not use them? And again, most students would tell me is Baile é. Is Baile é, it's a town. Maybe you're talking about the epicenter of the world, maybe you're talking about Gorey. Is Baile é, it's a town. But look at this, right? You have 2 beautiful words. Now I know you know one of them already. Tell me is Baile Massera. Now Massera means reasonably. Massera, yeah, kinda. Massera more, reasonably big. Is Baile Massera more é. It's a reasonably big town. Now, Brúachbhaile, that you have down here, right, is Brúachbhaile é. Brúachbhaile is a suburb. That's a real nice word to use. Is Brúachbhaile é, it's a suburb. But add in 2 words for me here, right? Add in more milteach. Now, I know you know the word more in Irish. Is Bráidbhaile or Brúachbhaile more é. You've got that word, right? Add in that word milteach, and it means massive. So when you put this together, is Brúachbhaile more milteach é. It's a massive big suburb. Is Brúachbhaile more milteach é. That's fantastic. Or if you live in the countryside, tá sé sitje faoin tua just means in the countryside. So faoin tua. So tá sé, it is, and here's my word, sitje. Now I have a thing for you, right? Because I can't ask you questions because we're kind of online, right? Sitje means situated in Irish. If you're looking for something a little bit different, if you're like Michal, everybody knows the word sitje in my class. We can use the word lonatha for based. Tá sé lonatha faoin tua. It's based in the countryside, or it's situated in the countryside. Alva, how are you getting on? So should you mention about political topics at all? My teacher said to stand out, it would be a good thing to bring in something the examiners haven't heard. Alva, yes, you've got 2 ways of going about this, right? I want to know about you and your life. So if you're not interested in politics, it'll stand out very, very quickly that you're not really interested in it. Or if you don't want to talk about the environment and you're not really kind of passionate about the environment, it'll come across that you're not really mad into it. Like, so I don't know. I think it's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to go and you want to bring in political topics and all that. If you are genuinely interested in politics, bring it up. Yeah, definitely. We can have a chat about politics. We can have a chat about maybe the world at the moment and Trump America, and we can talk about that. But only if you're interested in it. If you're not interested in it, I wouldn't. And you know why, Alva? I think you're all stressed enough as it is with an exam. It's worth 40%. You're a little bit nervous about it, which is normal. I don't really think adding more stress is going to be kind of the best way to go about it. Do you know that way? So I think maybe if you're not interested in politics, don't maybe bring it up. And I think you've got so much to worry about anyway, as it is with the material. I wouldn't really go about it. I think just have a nice, easy, kind of relaxed type of oral conversation, because it's all about what you deliver and how you deliver it. That's where your marks are going to go, and it'll come across very quickly whether you are actually interested in politics or not. Like me, I get dead giveaways. I love Irish language and I love grammar and fadas and H's and R's. Love it. And you'll guess that in the first couple of seconds when I start talking about it. So you'll always be able to tell whether someone is genuinely interested in it or not. It's a stressful exam as it is. If you're not interested in it, I wouldn't really kind of bring it up. I wouldn't broach it. Now, here's the other thing, Alva, as well. What happens if we kind of do end up going down a rabbit hole where we do end up talking about politics for some obscure reason, it snowballs out of control or something, and you could be like, Michal, I'm not interested in politics. That's fine, you're not going to lose marks, but I want you to tell me what you are interested in. So don't say, Michal, ní maith liom políocht, and then leave it. Say to me like, Michal, ní maith liom políocht, I don't like politics, ach, is bralam ceol, I like music. And I'm like, well then let's talk about music. So this, Alva, is really important, that it's not going to be a false assessment of you having to fake an interest in a whole lot of topics. It's about you, it's about your life. And if you're not interested in politics, you're not interested in politics. I can't be like, she didn't know about politics, H4. It can't happen like that, you know. So again, if you're not interested in a topic, feel free to tell me, Michal, it's just not for me because I'm studying a lot. But give me something that you are interested in and give me kind of a nicer way of saying, but we can talk about something else if you like. Chloe, or Mary, sorry, how are you getting on, Mary? Will they always ask us a broad question about ourselves first? Yeah, Mary, very often it's a generic question at the start about your family or about your area, just because we want to kind of gauge. The trouble is, no one's thinking about me in this exam. You're all very self-obsessed about yourselves. No one's actually thinking about how hard it is for us, the teachers, to have to decide whether we think you're higher level or ordinary level and how far we can go with the material and what we can kind of ask you. So you need to kind of be a little bit more concerned about us and our feelings, Mary. But a broad question, because we'll want to know kind of how, we want to know kind of what your level is and where we want to push it. And the last thing I want to be doing is asking complicated questions at the start or tricky questions or something like that. So yeah, broad questions, and we'll look at the material you're given, we'll look at the delivery, and we'll look at how kind of comfortable you are talking about it and how talking about your family and stuff, and then we can take it from there. So it's always good to always start off with a broad question. But the last thing your examiner wants to do is to create a tense situation. The last thing your examiner wants to do is create a very kind of stressed environment. So we will start off with a broad question and make sure things are grand and you're comfortable and you're okay and you're at your ease, and then we can kind of start seeing where the material is going to go. Mary, or sorry, Mary, that's yours. Chloe, how are you getting on? So, if you switch between dialect pronunciation, would you lose marks, or can you use more than one dialect? Oh, Chloe, Irish is Irish. We love it. We absolutely love it. So whether you're throwing in words from Donegal and Connemara or words from Kerry and Cork, maybe if you have to, like, but Irish is Irish. We love it. So if you're switching dialects, pronunciation, like I'm from Wexford, the epicenter of the world, but sometimes I would have a very kind of strong kind of northern Donegalish kind of accent as well. So I'd use kind of more Donegal words and more Donegal structures. And usually when I speak, people are like, "Oh, where are you from, Donegal?" But every now and again, like a word from Connemara will creep in or something, or a word from Kerry and Cork or Waterford or even Meath. But yeah, it's no bother whatsoever. Chloe, Irish is Irish. So if you're mixing and matching, the thing is, Chloe, it's your language. It's your exam, and it's Irish that you want to use and Irish that you find that you want to use. So if you like to kind of go a little bit northern and a little bit western, and then every now and again come with a curveball and a little bit southern, go for it, because it's your language and it's your exam. Alva, I'm not too interested. Oh, the politics. Yeah, I'm not too interested in it. She just gave us some notes on Trump and all the rulia boolia. My favorite word in Irish, rulia boolia. Brilliant, I love it. Yeah. So Alva, if you're not interested in it, it's up to you. It's genuinely it's your exam. So if you find that you can maybe you're interested in Trump, maybe you might want to talk about it. But if you're not too interested in it, I'd find stuff that you are. I'd find stuff that really kind of that you're passionate about, because I do want to know a little bit about you, if that sounds alright. Like I do want to know kind of like your genuine interests and stuff like that. So, and I find like you've got such a varied interest as like sports and hobbies and pastimes, and there's people doing horse riding, there's people doing sailing, there's people that are reading books, there's people that were writing poems and writing books, there are people that like watching telly. Yeah, so tell me more about you. You don't have to kind of fake it. You don't have to fake it. Just be a bit more kind of about you, because then you learn the material an awful lot easier. Like I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Alva, but I think if you're trying to learn material on stuff that you're not overly passionate about, that's probably where you're going to find it hard to learn the material, and that's probably where you're kind of struggling maybe to learn it. I would go out on a limb here and say you're probably finding the stuff about music and sports an awful lot easier to learn because you're interested in it. And you're probably finding stuff like politics and the environment and a little bit more stressful because you're not interested in it. So definitely play for your strengths the whole time. Emer, how are you getting on? If you're talking about your town, should we bring in a drug essay? Emer, we're going to talk about kind of social issues now in a second. Again, I would only bring this in, Emer, if you want to talk about it. That's the thing. It's going to have to be led by you very, very quickly. I'll talk to you about this now in a couple of seconds, actually, Emer, right? And I'm going to give you a break in a couple of minutes. Now I'm going to hang on here. I'll talk to you so we can have a bit of a chat. But in about 5 minutes, I'm going to give you a 10-minute break. You can go off, get a coffee and a tea and stuff and come back. But I'm going to hang here and we can have a little bit more of a chat. And we'll take a bit of a 10-minute break in a couple of minutes. Let's just finish this very, very quickly, right? Now, do you see the word heart, air and chimpel? These are two words that mean roughly or approximately. You can use one or you can use the other. So Tashi, it is heart, air, roughly. And then tell me how many minutes from the city centre, or ó lár an bhaile from the town. So tá sé hart ar fiche nóméid ó lár na carach. It's about 20 minutes. Now, you know the word in le. Everybody has in le, and that's fantastic. And if you have in le in your Irish as well, brilliant. I love it. But there can be two swaps that you can use. We can go for gar do, and we can go for inyasto, whichever one you want. So tá sé, it is gar do, close to, same structure as English, gar do, or you can use the word inyasto, next to, close to, beside. So in le and gardo and inyasto are usually kind of quite similarly interchanged and moved around. Now, bring all that together, right? Now look at the sentence. Ruga agus tóga mé in Neshgart Valja. I was born and raised in South Dublin. In Oich Darvanium, in a place by the name of, and then we can put in the place name. We can say it's Brúg Valja more Milchok A because we had that. So it's Brúg Valja A. And we put in the words more Milchok, what we did up here a couple of seconds ago. It's a massive, huge suburb, and tá sé timpeall. It is roughly 20 minutes Olarna Carach from the city centre. Now compare that answer here to Tá mé Machoni Maliaklia. Do you get what I mean? Like, we can add in little bits of material that start to elevate our Irish a little bit more and get us on the communication and get us those grammar marks as well. And you can make that sentence as long or as short as you want. Right, I'll tell you what, folks, what we'll do is we'll take just a 10-minute break. So, because we want to keep going through the material and we want to get onto the strap pictures as well. So I'm going to hang around here. I'm going to answer your questions. If you want to ask me any questions, if you want to chat to me about anything, you're more than welcome to talk. But get a quick cup of tea, quick cup of coffee, and come back to me in 10 minutes. And we'll get you done on the last part of the course then for the day. But I'm going to hang here and you can ask me questions about strap pictures, poems, stories, listening. It doesn't have to be about the orals. I'm going to take 10 minutes here to answer your questions. Go get a quick cup of coffee and then come back to me. Now, so one quick question then. You just do some topics and not bringing in Thomas from the environment. Jamie, how are you getting on? How's things? If you stick with your simple topics and not bring in politics or environment, can you still get your full marks? 100%, Jamie, yeah, that's the thing. I think what an awful lot of us are doing in Irish is we're trying to be more like the French, German, Spanish, and Italian. But they have more time to talk. Our Irish is 4 sections. So we have an introduction, we have to read the poem, we've only time for an 8-minute chat, an 8-minute conversation, and then we have to get onto the Serapic door. So, do you know what? Jamie, the thing is, I think it's the issue is always with French, German, Spanish, and Italian, isn't it? Like, that's where the rules, that's where it can kind of get a little bit blurred with Irish, where you think I have to do this in Irish because I'm doing it in the other lesser languages, but you don't, because we only have 8 minutes and we're kind of more structured. So I was saying again to Alva as well with this, Jamie, that if you're not mad into politics, it'll come across very quickly, whether you're into it or you're not. And again, the environment, if you're into the environment, like if you're absolutely Greta Thunberg mad, you'll know whether a student is quite passionate about something very, very quickly. So I don't know, it's up to you, but you can definitely get a full marks in 100% in the orals without talking about topical, because it's all about you, it's all about your life, it's what you find interesting, and I'm going to run with it. It's not an information exam where like, oh my god, they didn't know the election results in the northern half of Germany, guess who's not going to college. It's nothing like that. Nothing whatsoever. It's about you. It's about your life. So Jamie, 100%, yeah, you can get your full marks without having to go through those topics, but just pick something that you're interested in and tell me who you are as an individual and tell me what you like and tell me what you don't like. Favourite subject, why it's Irish. Least favourite subject and why it's French. So I hope that helps. Mark, this is very helpful. Thanks so much. I feel better about the exam. Mark, thanks a million. But I want you all to feel more comfortable and confident about what this exam is, because I think you actually have it in your head that it has to be this, and it's nothing like it whatsoever. In fact, Mark, come back to me after you're doing the orals, but I think you are actually going to find this possibly one of the most underwhelming exams of your entire life. You're going to walk out and be like, was that it? Was that all it was? Like, was that it? All the work and all the effort you put in, and you're going to be walking out kind of going, that wasn't too bad. So it is like that, but yeah, I just want you to feel an awful lot more confident and just more calmer about the actual oral exam. It's one of my favourite parts of the course. Gemma, how are you getting on? How's things? Long time no here. How do examiners tell if you're higher level or ordinary level? Gemma, you know, you kind of get a feel, I suppose. But again, I'll say this, high ordinary level can walk away with 100% as well, because it's about your delivery and it's about kind of the material, it's about kind of you. So not everything has to be quite complicated, but there could be kind of maybe, depend on how well you prepare. Like if you want to say Tommy Mahoney Molyockley and leave it at that, that's kind of quite fine as well. Like you'll kind of, and a higher level student will push it a little bit more. Now, not sentence wise, not sentence length, Gemma, but they'll use vocab that's a little bit different, or they'll use something like the ones I've given you here, they'll use them. And that's where you kind of start to think, higher level. And not only that, but like, very, very higher level, H1, H2 type thing. So it is kind of, it's about how you use the material in it. Now, Mercy, what should I focus on for the Hignot Hitcherum questions? Mercy, that's a fantastic question. A Hignot Hitcherum usually centres around pastimes and youth. The thing is, whether you're doing on Trial, a Hig, or Goffa, folks, will you do me a favour? First of all, before you start going for specific niche questions, make sure you get your summaries. Because no matter what we ask you, it always has to come back to your summary. So I'm just going to change. Now, folks, we're just on a bit of a 10-minute break here from this. So again, we just have a couple of minutes before we're going to go back to the oral. So get your tea, get your coffee. And I said, like, we can have a bit of a chat about the material here as well. So if you have any questions about Irish, and I'll hang around at the end as well to have a bit of a chat with you. We can chat about this. So Mercy, whether you're doing on Trial, Goffa, or Hignot Hitcherum, what I all want you to do is make sure you have a summary. Because your marks are 40 marks, which is 35 for your subject and 5 for your Irish, right? Now, this is all going to come down to evidence from the text. No matter what we want evidence from the text. So I want concrete evidence. I want to be saying, I remember that in Mike Danneen's play. I remember that happened. Yeah, that's on page 54. Yeah, I remember that. I want evidence from the text. So first and foremost, make sure that you have your summary down. The second thing is sample answers. Now, I know you are absolutely all mad. You are feral for sample answers, right? Fair, valid, I get it. But what I want from sample answers, Mercy, is mine it for vocab, right? Mine it, think, that's a nice phrase, that's a nice phrase, that's a nice verb. That's all you want to do with sample answers, because it's all about your summary. Learn your summary and you'll be able to answer any question. But if you learn a sample answer, you're learning a very niche sample answer, if you get me, that might have parts missing, and that's where your marks can actually go down. So when you get sample answers, we just want to mine the sample answer for nice vocab, nice phrases, nice verbs, stuff that you're like, oh, that's nice, I like that. That's what we use sample answers for. So I'm going to get you to come back to me in about maybe 2 weeks, right? Drop me an email. But what I would love is if you could actually just get the sample answer down first. And once you have your get your summary down first. And once you have your summary, you're fine then on that. Nicole, is it hard to get a H1 in Irish? Nicole, no, it's actually not. Nicole, we're talking about the orals and I presume paper 1 and paper 2, right? The orals are a very, very simple 40%. So I want to put it into perspective for you, Nicole, right? Do you know in maths and higher level maths, you get an extra 25 points for just doing a little bit of higher level maths? You just turn up, get your pass, and you're like, here's 25 extra points, right? What Irish have done is they have actually brought the higher level course more in line with the ordinary level course. So think about it. Higher and ordinary level, as higher level students, you get to study 5 ordinary level poems, you get to study 5 ordinary level stories, you get to sit a common oral exam that no one knows whether you're higher level or ordinary level, and you also sit the same listening, the same speed, the same speakers, the same material, the same vocab, the same structures, just our questions are a little bit different. So all in all, the higher level course is actually more in line with an ordinary level course. So that's kind of like your gift for doing higher level Irish, is that you get to kind of study quite a considerable amount of ordinary level material. So to come back to your question, how hard is it to get a H1? It does require effort, right? But it requires more of you playing the game, looking at the question and seeing what they're asking and answering that question. That's the tricky part in it, right? So that's what I kind of do with you all in, say, for example, on Mondays. So we go for the orals whole time. We orals all the way on Mondays. Tuesdays then we do the listening, and then Wednesdays we do the writing workshops, how to write Irish, how to Irish, and then we do the essays, and then on Thursday we do the literature. Once you know how to play the game, and once you know your marking scheme and what the marking scheme wants from you, Nicole, then it's quite easy to get your H1. You just have to play the game a little bit more. You kind of have to look at where your points are going and where your marks are going. Once we do that, then Irish becomes this mad H1, H2 language, which is great. Jake, how are you getting on? I'm in level and I'm stressed about even passing. Jake, can I just tell you something? This is not something to really stress about. So I would tell you, Jake, right? The vast majority of you, the reason why you are panicking is, and I guarantee you that your material is probably way too long. Your material is probably sentence and sentence, 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 all the way down. You probably have maybe 15 lines, maybe 16, 17 lines for an answer, or some parts. Or maybe your sentences are too long and your sentences are quite complex. That's what's stressing you out. What I would do is I would always bring my material back for the bigger questions. 8 lines. 8 short, simple sentences. Now, Jake, for what you want to do, you might even just go for 4. It's about what Jake wants to do, though. That's the thing. So, Jake, you shouldn't be doing stuff that you don't want to talk about. You shouldn't be doing material that's long and complex and stressful, because I think that's what's making you all stressed. Bring it back. If you're more comfortable with 4 lines and you're able to get them 4 lines out confidently and comfortably and calmly, that'll do an awful lot more for your marks than trying to remember 8 lines. And I'll tell you one thing as well while we're here. We're just going to go back to the orals in a minute. Our break's kind of up now. So hopefully you got your tea, hopefully you got your coffee, right? But I'm going to tell you the best piece of advice I can actually all give you. 2 pieces. Number 1, Irish teachers just want more Irish speakers. That's all. That's all we want. And world peace. But we want stuff we want you to be confident about your language. We want you to kind of enjoy it. And there's nothing, I want more Irish speakers. That's it. More bilingual. That's it. After this, I want to create a very positive atmosphere. I want to create a very positive atmosphere in the class. That's what we want to do. We're not out to get you. I'm not out to trip you up. I'm not out to catch you out. None of that. I want to know about Jake. I want to know about you. I want to know about your family. I want to know about your hobbies, right? And one of the things I will tell you is, if you have a sentence in your notes, Jake, right, that no matter how much you study and how often you study and how often you write it down and how often you try and say it out, but it just keeps tripping you up. You keep making mistakes. It keeps causing you to stop your flow. I need you to get rid of that. That has to go. So I want you all to do this. Go over your material. Find that sentence that stops you from getting your answer out. Find that sentence, that phrase that stops you from delivering that material in a nice manner. And what are you going to do? You're going to cut it out. I'm not going to know whether that sentence is in it or not, but I will know if you try and use it and you don't use it quite correctly. That's where we can start to do damage. So, Jake, I do understand there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of panic. I do get that, right? But I need you to know, I need you to be confident enough to cut the material out. That's really, that's important. To cut out the material that's causing you hassle, that's causing you stress. It needs to go. No examiner's going to know whether the word is in or whether it's out. But if you try and use it and you use it wrong, that's where we can kind of start making an awful lot of kind of issues in the Irish. So do me a favour. Keep your Irish short, keep your Irish simple, keep your Irish manageable, what you find manageable, and then push the boat out when you feel like you can push the boat out. Right, so I'll tell you what, so we're back, right? So hopefully you had time to get your tea, you got your coffee, and we're ready to get stuck into the next part of it. I'm going to answer, there's a load of questions coming in again, so I'm going to answer your questions as we're going on, because I think a couple of them we can talk about these in a couple of minutes, right? So don't panic if I haven't gotten around to your question just yet. We'll go through this. Now, let's bring all of this together. So we're talking about your area where you live, right? So let's bring all of this together in a nice sample answer. And notice how my sample answer is not crazy. Notice how my sample answer is not 15, 20 lines long. So here's what we're going to go for. Tá Coney Ardam, so I live. Tá Coney Ardam, and we have this word in Estat Tihiachta, in a housing estate. Do not pronounce that TH, Tihiachta. And then in Neshgart Valja Ahaclia, in South Dublin. And what we're going to go for is we're going to go for that V sound there, in Neshgart Valja Ahaclia. And you can stop your sentence there if you'd like, or if you feel like Michal, I can actually push on a little bit more. You can add in something like in Oich Darbanium. Now I love this phrase. Darbanium means by the name of. So in a place, Darbanium by the name of. you can use this for, I like a team by the name of Wexford Hurling. I like a football team by the name of Wexford Football. I like a county by the name of Wexford. Darbanium can be used for anything by the name of, and you can talk about sports, hobbies, you can talk about people, you can introduce books, music, anything you want. It's a really nice phrase to have. Now there's that word situ, which we know means situated. So tá an Baile, the town is situated. And we had that phrase in Akalet, didn't we? But we can use something a little bit different if you want. In Yasto, close to, next to, near, all the same. In Yasto Gundroma, next to Dundrum. Let's go for this part here. Go will she. Go will she means that it is. That it is. Go will she. And the first part we have is Sheelam, I think. So Sheelam, I think, go will she, that it is. And here's that new phrase I've introduced you tonight. Tuairdim is, roughly, approximately, kind of like timple. So Cuig Vila o Larna Carach, it's 5 Cuig Vila, 5 miles, O, from, and Larna Carach, the city centre. O Larna Carach. Tamachristi, do me a favour. I know your Irish is actually an awful lot better than you're giving yourselves credit for. I know you're calling it, someone told me, explained what cooked meant the other day. So someone said I'm cooked, Michal. I didn't know what it means, but you explained. And you're very, very stressed about your Irish. And one of the things is you actually know way more Irish than you actually give yourselves credit for. You know words like ismotlum, isbralum, is-evenlum. They are fantastic phrases to use. Ismotlum, isbralum, is-evenlum. Now, if you have those and you think, Michal, I want something a little bit different, this is one of my favourite phrases in Irish, full stop. Tamachri isti. It means literally my heart is in, but it means that I'm mad about, I'm crazy about. So tamachristi, I'm mad about, I'm crazy about. I would say tamachristi sa grammadach. I'm mad about grammar, love Irish grammar, it makes my heart beat fast. So tamachristi sa ceantar is a fantastic way of saying I'm mad about my area. And then you can tell me Wexford if you want it. But it's a lovely way of saying like it's motlum, it's bralum, it's evenum. It's your Irish and it's your exam. So you push it how much you want to go. You tell me where you want to go with your Irish. Now, another word we have here is the word nyart, right? Nyart means plenty or a lot. Now, you know the word. If I was to ask you what's the word you have in Irish, you say alon. And if you have alon, brilliant. That's fantastic. Alon, a lot. But if you're looking for something different, you can go for nyart. So nyart oishna, a lot of facilities. Now, here's my word tá. Tá means there is, and it also means there are. In Irish, we don't care for singulars and plurals. Tá is going to step up and do everything for you. So tá neart oishna, there is plenty of facilities. And curmagas means I give you the instance, I give you the case, or I give you the example. Like marhampla. If you know the word marhampla in Irish, brilliant, love it. If you want something different, curmagas is a lovely phrase to have as well. I give you the case. We have linsnava, kurchna ladoga, and what are you doing here? You're being clever, you're being sneaky, you're using sports. So you're putting sports in my mind. There's lots of facilities like a swimming pool and a tennis court, and I'll be like, oh, do you play sports? And you'd be like, Michal, funny you should ask, but I play tennis and I swim. So you can find ways of controlling that conversation, and it's really refreshing when a student steps up and tells me what we're going to talk about. Now, the one thing I'll tell you all is if you are in an area that is, there's something distinct about it. I always give the example of the Rock of Cashel. There was a student of mine there a couple of years ago who lived near the Rock of Cashel, and I said, look, the examiner's probably going to want to talk about the Rock of Cashel. So we'd prepared a couple of lines on the Rock of Cashel, and lo and behold, it came up. If there's anything unique in your area, like if you live in Dundrum, the shopping centre, if you live maybe near the Rock of Cashel, if you live near some tourist place, maybe you're in Clare, you live near the Cliffs of Moher, will you do me a favour? Will you make sure you have 3 or 4 lines on something that's quite special about your area? That's kind of a given really to come up. So on a Chuppadorgda, a shopping centre, and we know that the word tá means there is. So tá, there is, on a Chuppadorgda, a shopping centre, gar dun volja, and there's that new phrase, close to the town. Same structure as English, because Irish and English structurally are only different in 3 ways. Gar, close, dun, to the, and volja, town. Comala picturelin more milchnach, aglashi, scullina, agus parkina immerhe. Now again, we're going for the sports angle if you want. Comala means as well as. I'll put this in blue for you actually. So comala as well as. I'm going to show you another trick that you can do with your Irish to elevate it a little bit more. You know the word pictureland, don't you? Pictureland is a cinema. When we have kind of simple, basic vocab, we can add in something that's a little bit different. So I'm going to add in two adjectives. More milchach, huge, massive. So tá pictureland more milchach. There's a massive, huge cinema. Pictureland more milchach. Aglashi, churches. Scoilina, schools. And Parkna Immerha, we're going back to the sports again. Parkna Immerha, pitches, playing fields. You can say Park in Apella, but I know you know Park in Apella. I know you know Park Pella, Park in Apella for a pitch or a field. Perfect. We can go for this new piece of vocab here, Park in Immerha. Now, I have a quick question coming in there from Alex. When is darb anam used and when is darv anam used? Alex, very, very good question. So darb is going to be used in your present tense. I like a band by the name of darb with a B. Now, if you're talking about in the past tense, I liked a band by the name of, then it'll come as no surprise, we're going to add a H into this because Irish is absolutely obsessed with H's. Gaffa. So, darv anum is in the past tense, but Alex, that is one of the most important rules in your past tense, that we always add a H in second position. So that's exactly what we have here. That H is an indicator that we're in the past tense. Darv anum. But great question. Bet, how you doing? If my Irish isn't strong, am I able to get a H3 in the written by learning off summaries and sample answers? Bet, we talked about the sample answers. I'd definitely go for summaries. Summaries first. Summaries are the most important thing. Bet, I kind of think that your Irish is actually an awful lot better than you're giving yourselves credit for. We kind of tend to just kind of think our Irish is bad and it's awful. But I'd actually bet that your Irish is better than you actually think it is. So are you still able to get a H3? Bet you will be very, very, very surprised as the oral exam is created, and we said this at the start, it's designed to give you the best amount of marks possible. We talked about the marking scheme at the start of the class. You could really get a H3 if you play your cards right, but we want to make sure that the effort goes to the biggest amount of marks themselves, right? So that's what we have here. The oral's worth 40%. So you think about it, jump from 40% to a H3 with an essay and a few poems and stories is actually not that big of a jump. So put your effort into this, put your effort into as much of this as possible, because that's the foundations for that H3, and you'll be surprised at how well you do. When you nail down this exam, you're actually all going to be very shocked at your results when you come out, because it's an exam that's kind of designed to give you the most amount of marks. Jenna, how are you getting on? When is go rev and go will used? It's past tense and it's present tense as well, Jenna. Go rev is past for that there was, and go will is the present tense for that there is. They're just the difference between the past and present tense. We might do a bit of maybe a workshop this Wednesday, a grammar workshop. Leave it with me and I'll see what we can do. But I think because you have a lot of questions coming in about Irish and structural things that are really, really great questions, by the way. But we definitely could leave it with me and we'll see if we can kind of get something up for you to talk about, like the structure of Irish. That's what we do on Wednesdays at 3:30. Right, now let's go for this one. The last part when we're talking about the family, right? Let's look for traffic. But problem in your area, we want to spring onto another subject. We want to spring onto school, right? Because we've talked about family, we've talked about area, and we're trying to control the conversation. We're trying to take the pressure away from the examiner, the teacher themselves. So let's have a look at this, right? Tá five vor. First of all, do me a favor. Every time we use the word problem, we need to put a H. Five vor. Huge problem. So tá, there is. Five vor, a huge problem. We know that sa means in the. So sa chanter, in the area, in the district. And then le, with, tracht, traffic. Pretty much the same structure as English. And you can stop there if you want. If you feel like you can add on that a little bit more, let's look at the parts in grey. So there is a big problem, le tracht with traffic. If you feel like you can add on this, let's go for go huidige, especially. And I love this. See this word egg? Egg means at, right? So egg at, tra on vru. Tra on vru, pop the letter V above that for us there in Irish. So tra on vru, rush hour. So egg tra on vru, rush hour. Trianglum trachta. We have trianglum trachta here is the word for traffic jams. So bean, there does be. Trianglum trachta, traffic jams. Unshocked, Modern go G&E from 7 until 9, and again you can pick any times that you want, from 6 until 7, 7 till 8, 8 till 8. Keep it short, keep it simple. Now, what we're going to put in here is Curran sé moil. Moil is the word for a delay. So Curran sé, it puts moil, a delay, and Urdum means on me. So Curran sé moil Urdum, it puts a delay on me. Agus make dollar skull, and again this is come back. If you want to use the grey parts, you can. Agus make dollar skull while going to school. Now, what we've shown here, let's talk about school. And you can stop there. So I'll just stop there for a second, right? So what we're saying is that there's a problem with traffic in the mornings. If I say to you, is there any problems in here? You say, yeah, Michal, there's problems with traffic at rush hour. There's traffic jams from 7 to 9 and it makes me late going to school. Well, then obviously the conversation is going to take a bit of a turn then. Well, let's talk about your school then. So the thing is, you can do an awful lot by manipulating the conversation, by just stepping up and kind of taking control of the conversation itself. Right, I'm going to stop there with this because I do want to talk about school now. So we've done family, we've done area, and we've kind of linked on a little bit more to school itself. Let's have a look at talking about your school subject, and I want to show you something that you can do that'll take the hassle and take the pressure out of actually talking about school subjects very, very quickly. So let's go for page 19 in this. Again, tonight is not about overloading you with material, or tonight's not about kind of swamping you with material. Tonight's about you catching a breath, calming, relaxing, and just kind of knowing what the exam is and knowing how easy it is to do well in it, providing we play the game. And what we're going to do is have a nice kind of couple of phrases that we can add in to really elevate the Irish, right? Now, I know when you tell me in Irish, I do 7 subjects, I do 8 subjects, and some of you are crazy enough to do 9 subjects. That's grand, right? And mostly you will say Janum Stadger Air or Tommy Janum Stadger Air. They're 2 great phrases to have. I love this one. I really, really like this. Tá octanaver idir lav agum. So tá, something idir lav agum. That means I'm juggling so many subjects, or I'm getting the grips with, or trying to manage. So tá something idir lava agum. That's a really nice phrase. Now, this is the key issue. When it comes to telling me how many subjects you study, I'm listening out for one key thing. Those of you who are doing 7, 8, or even 9 subjects, right? You will have to have the letter N hyphen in front of the word over. Shocked, naver. Ocht, naver. Ni, naver. We'll have to have that N in. Now, if you're only doing 6 subjects, you're grammar free. You're fine. No H's, no I's, no R's, no dentals, nothing. 6 subjects. She, over. But 7, 8, 9, and 10, our examiner wants to hear this. So you can go for Atomic Janus Stodger. I'm doing studying, but I really, really like this. The whole idir lava thing is like I'm grappling with. I'm trying to manage, I'm trying to handle, I'm trying to juggle. I like that expression. It's really, really nice. And if you look, my expression's kind of a little bit shorter than the other ones. And this is the thing, your Irish shouldn't be complicated. Your Irish should not have long-winded sentences, but it should have something nice. You can keep your Irish short, you can keep it simple, and you can have maximum impact, providing you show me that you know Irish, like you kind of have them lovely, lovely phrases, that severus Nagael, get that richness of Irish. That does way more for you than some stuffy long-winded sentence that goes on for 2 lines long. Now, here's the thing. What's going to happen is you're going to walk into the exam and you're going to tell me, Michal, I'm doing 7 subjects, and you're going to try list off the 7 subjects in no particular order. And you're going to go, I'm doing maths, French, I'm doing history, I'm doing maths, I'm doing Irish, English, and you'll start to panic. You'll start to get flustered. And you'll be like, is that 6? Was that 7? Oh my God, I'm missing a subject. And you start to panic. Let's take that hassle out for you, right? Let's go for this. Tá gaeilge barla mata riachtanach compulsory. So tell me, Irish, English, maths is riachtanach compulsory and done for the course. Now all you have to do is remember the ones that you chose. So tell me, Michal, yeah, tá gaeilge barla mata riachtanach done course. Irish, English, maths are compulsory. And rounding me, I chose. Now remember, Irish is a verb first language, which means we always put our verb in first position and the person goes in second. So raunig me, our verb first. So I picked Spanish, Chiroliacht, Stadger, Gno, and Fishik. All right, so that's a nice little trick to have as well. Now, when it comes to actually talking about stuff that you like, let's have a look at how to say I like a certain subject and I don't like a certain subject. I want to show you some nice phrases to bring up your Irish in this. So let's go on to the next page. Sikajin Tauris Fiarlat, what is your favorite subject? Number one, I know it's Irish, so right. But I tell you what, let's have a look at another word that we can use instead of is far. If you understand is far liom for I prefer, you can take out the word far and you can use this word ansa, A-N-S-A. Is ansaliat, is ansilium means kind of I revere, I love, I'm passionate, or I kind of really prefer it, is ansilium. So let's go for what is your favorite subject. And you have all your subjects there, right? Now, when it comes to telling me what you like, you can use a load of different expressions. You can say it's motlum, it's bralum, it's evenlum, and you can even use tatnian something lum. I enjoy or it pleases me. Like gefällt mir in German and se plaire in French and in Spanish as well. Tatnian something lum. But let's go for something different. Tamachrieschi. I love this phrase. I'm mad about it. So tamachrieschi means I'm mad about, I'm crazy about. Literally my heart's in it. So tamachrieschi sa varla, I'm mad about English. Tamachrieschi sa Gaelic, I'm mad about Irish. Tamachrieschi sa Rankish, I'm mad about French, said no one. You could say tamachrieschi san Alin, san Idalish, san Academic, san Nijik. So it's a lovely, lovely way of telling me your favourite subject. And again, your Irish should not be complicated, but show me how good your Irish is by nice, short, snappy stuff. Now, I'm going to ask you, why is a subject your favorite subject? And the one thing I think you can do an awful lot better here, right? See, simul and spatial, 2 words for interesting. That's fine. I think they're kind of 2 of the most commonly used words by Leaving Cert students. Like every time we talk about maths or subjects or sports or music, everything kind of tends to be simul and spatial. Let's give them something different. See the word duchlánach, right? So ta and taver. Now, H means shevu. Shevu means soften. And that's exactly what you're going to do to the letter S, to the point where we can't actually hear it. Du hlánach. Look at that word there. Beautiful. Du hlánach means challenging. That's great. I don't like maths. It's challenging. Foresta. Foresta means easy or simple. Now, I know for a fact you have words like shimply and éasca. And if you have them, shimply and éasca, why not swap it out with something that's different? Where the examiner can be like, I didn't hear that today. I heard shimply and éasca. Irish is all about nice word swaps. Tatnivach. Now, tatnivach is the word for enjoyable. So it is ta and taver. The subject is tatnivach. It's enjoyable. One word I love in Irish. See this word, next word, currahach. Do not pronounce the letter T because there's a shevu after it. Currahach. Currahach is engaging, captivating, exciting. Irish grammar. Currahach totally just gives me 3 heartbeats for the price of 1. I love it. But it's a great phrase to have for like maybe sports, music, subjects that you like. Subjects. Currahach, it's engaging, it's captivating, it's exciting. Ladronach, we can say it's boring. French. So ladronach. We can go for jacker. You know the word jacker, don't you? Jacker's complicated. What about this little beaut? Costa. Tricky. Complicated. Tashi Costa. It's tricky. And I'll show you one thing to make your Irish less bookish and more normal, more natural, more spoken Irish. Do you see the word gulior? Gulior means enough. So gulior means enough. Now listen to this. Simply gulior. Simple enough. I think this is fantastic. I like maths. Yeah, it's simply gulior. It's simple enough. That adds such like a normalness to your Irish. Just popping in the word gulior. So you can say like it's enjoyable enough. Tá sé tatnivach gulior. You can say it's exciting enough. Yeah, tá sé currahach gulior. Or if you want to tell me, you know what, it's boring enough. Tá sé ladronach gulior. But putting that gulior in red after your words really kind of adds a normalness to your Irish. It's something I really like. Now, tell me why you do like a subject and why you don't like a subject. Let's go for 3 ways to say that you like something or you don't like something. So, tá an cuasa lán le scríbhneoireacht. Usually when I ask students like what you like about or what you don't like about a subject, they just kind of shrug their shoulders and like, tá sé jacker, it's tough. Let's give them something that's actually got a bit of substance, right? So, tá an cuasa, the course is lán le, full with. Same structure as English. So lán le, full with scríbhneoireacht, writing. Like English, like Irish. history. Or it might be full with reading, lán le léthoracht. And you can leave it at that, yeah. Tá an cúrsa lán le scríbhneoireacht. Now, if you feel like, Micheál, you know what, that's actually grand, yeah, let's take it up a notch. And here's the thing. In order to take it up a notch, our Irish doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be long-winded, doesn't have to be like a sentence that goes on for a line and line and line and line. Look at this. Tá iomarca scríbhneoireachta. Now, iomarca means too much. Iomarca scríbhneoireachta. Too much writing. You're using a grammar point called the Tishel Ginadach, and I love it. Now, you don't have to understand what it is, or you don't have to understand it, but the fact that you can actually use it puts me in thinking, that's great, that's impressive. And it's just 2 words. So tá, there is iomarca scríbhneoireachta, too much writing, and then san in the san over in the subject. Or if you want to tell me there's too much writing, too much reading, we can go for iomarca léthoraachta. So tá iomarca léthoraachta. There is too much reading, san over. You could also tell me, do you know what, Micheál? Tá an cúrsa ró leathan. Ró leathan means too broad. Like it's just too broad, like French. So tá an cúrsa, the course is ró leathan, it's too broad. It can ask you about anything. Or you might want to say to me, do you know what? The course isn't broad enough. Níl an cúrsa leathan go leor. So leathan go leor, broad enough, and níl sé, it isn't. So níl sé, it isn't. Leathan go leor, it's not broad enough. But being able to tell me why you dislike a subject, it's dúchlanach go leor, it's challenging enough. The course is full of reading and the course is full of writing 3 sentences. So much better than just saying, oh, níl sé spéisiúil, and then shrugging your shoulders. So try and put that into your material as well. And the fact that you're getting a little bit of a Tishel Ginadach grammar point, it's quite impressive. I have a quick question. Nathan, how are you getting on? How's things? Are you well? When do you use sa and san? Because I get mixed up often. Right, great question. Sa means in there. San means in there. But it's the word after it that we need to pay attention to. So you can say sa char, and then you would say san óstan. We have a vowel and a vowel. So we're going to add on the letter N to make it sound nicer. Because if you don't, sa óstan sounds really kind of blah, blah. Sounds kind of quite choppy. Sa óstan. So what we're going to do is we're going to add on a little N, like a liaison, like what you have in French and like what you have in Spanish. We're going to add in a little N to make it roll off the tongue an awful lot easier. San óstan. And it just rolls. There's a liaison there. So they both mean in there, but one is used with a vowel, san óstan, san hospital, because the N makes things sound nicer. And we're big on sounds in Irish. We like things to sound quite nice. So that's why we add in that little bit of an N. And then the other one you use for everything, sa and char. So hopefully that fixes it up for you. Francesca, how are you doing? What are some filler words I could use before I start talking, or when you're trying to think of what to say next? For example, well, this is the best thing about Irish. We use the word well in Irish. So, well, and it's Irish. And this is what I love about it, because we don't have to fake an interest, or we don't have to fake a kind of word or come up with, we can actually pretty much use our material because it's how we kind of normally speak. So I would use well so often in Irish. Well, and another thing as well, Francesca, I saw someone ask me a question a couple of minutes ago. What about using the word like? I always use the word like. That's fine. Most native speakers would use the word like as well. So if you do drop in a couple of likes, or stocha like small and popio, like that's fine, because do you know what that's telling me? That's telling me that your Irish is quite just normal, and it's not robotic, pre-learned, learned off by heart. So if you do find yourself dropping in a little like, or dropping in a little well, they're brilliant, because it means that you're just speaking normally, naturally, and you always use kind of stuff like that in Irish itself. Now Georgia just asked the question, when do I use sna? Look at you with your questions on a Sunday night. Right, very, very good question. Sna also means in the, but it's the word for plural. So if you want to say in the hospitals, in the hotels, we would use sna as well, and sna, and we put in carna. So what we use is sna in the plural form, right? So it's the same word. This is why I don't just get kind of too fixed on in tonight's class. There's my sa, there's my sa, and what you have here is the word na. in it. Do you get me? So it's kind of like you've mashed the word. So if you want to say dead boys, na buchali. If you wanted to say dead girls, na colini. So you use na for plurals. And that's exactly what we do. We put it into the word now and we make it sna. So it means in the, and we put it into the plurals. But it's the same word that just carries all the way through. Sa and san. And if you want to say in the cars, in the hospitals, in the schools, and it's plurals, well then we're going to use sna in that. But great questions. Very, very good. Right, I tell you what, we'll have a look here at a quick answer on maths or sciencey based subjects, right? So we've talked about subjects we like, subjects we don't like. Let's have a look and bring all this together into a nice sample answer. And again, you don't have to use everything, but I just want to give you kind of food for thought. I want to kind of bring up your Irish a little bit. So let's go for this one, right? Tatní na haver go léirlum. Now, tatní in lum means I enjoy, I like, or it pleases me, it's pleasing to me. So what's pleasing to you? What do you like? Na haver go léir. All the subjects. I like all the subjects, Michal. It's a bit of a kind of a Miss America answer there, isn't it? I like them all. I know you don't. Now, ach da meach ceanna bháin le piocagam. This one in grey. It's a little bit more fancier. It's a little bit more H1. It's a little bit more on the challenging side, but it's a mocní lock. It's a conditional mood, and if we can get that conditional mood into the examiner, into this, chances are we're probably not going to get a mocní lock question. And the good news that this mocní lock question I have here, this part here, we can actually use this so often in the orals, right? Now let's go for the pronunciation. The first part I want us to get in is da meach. I want to get that M at the start and I want to get that CK at the end. Da meach, right? Da meach ceann a bháin le piocha agam. If I had to pick one. If I had to pick one. If I ask you what's your favourite subject, and again, I think it was Francesca, a filler. Now I know it's a little bit of a longer filler, but this could be a perfect filler. If I say to you, what's your favourite subject? Michal, da meach ceann a bháin le piocha agam. If I had to pick one, and then we can use it. Or if I said to you, what's your favourite band? What's your favourite artist? Or who's your favourite artist? You could say, da meach ceann a bháin le piocha agam. If I had to pick one, or even if I asked you what's your favourite sports team, or who's your favourite sports team, or who's your favourite sports personality, you could say, da meach ceann a bháin le piocha agam. So we can use this as a filler in an awful lot of scenarios, but we can also use it as a mocní lock, as a conditional if I had to pick one. And what we're going to put in is this word here, ger hing, right? Now the easiest pronunciation we can go for is that ing sound at the end. But do me a favour, please. Do not pronounce the letter F, right? Listen to this. Ger hing. Ger hing. So mash it together. Ger hing. And the quicker you say it, the quicker you mash it together, the nicer it sounds. Ger hing. And it means I would say. I would say. Now look at this. I would say. 3 words for you in that English language of yours. Shocking. It's just one for us in our language because we're better. Ger hing, I would say, but you're using your mocní lock. And again, you could actually say this. I would say maths, I would say sports, I would say, and put in your band, but you can use this mocní lock so much. Ger hing. Now, go raibh an mathematic dúshlánach go leor. Let's go for the word here, dúshlánach go leor. Dúshlánach means challenging, right? And go leor, enough. Challenging enough. Now, the part in the middle, go raibh an mathematic. That maths was. Now, somebody asked me earlier on tonight's class, Michal, what does go raibh mean? Go raibh means that in the past tense. Now, let's bring it all together, right? Let's have a look at our sentence. In blue, da meach ceann a bháin le piocha agam. If I had to pick one. You can leave that in, or you can take it out. It's up to you. That's your decision. But let's go from the yellow onwards. Ger hing, I would say. Go raibh an mathematic. That maths was. That's what it is. And Jenny, you're asking me there, when do you use go will and go raibh? Go raibh is the past tense word for that. So I think that it was. And the good thing about Irish is we don't need a subjunctive. When we use the word that in Irish, we don't have a subjunctive. Like French and Spanish could never. So we're kind of subjunctive free here. So go raibh an mathematic, that maths was. Dúshlánach, challenging, go leor, enough. Kind of same structure as English. And then we're going to finish off with a little har na blianta, over the years. Har na blianta, same structure as English. Now, extracult le, Lovely, lovely, lovely piece of vocab here, right? Extrachulch, struggling. Le, with. Termiocht, terminology. How vague is that? How fantastic is that? I struggle with terminology. It's lovely and vague. You're not telling me exactly what, but it sounds nice. And you can say extrachelchle, struggling with. And again, we can pop in the word formally. So again, our sample answer is geared towards maths and the sciences. Yeah, bím extrachelchle, struggling with termiocht, terminology and formally. And I love this. Sheelam go will she jacker cohramoj a aulam. Let's go for this part here. See, cohramoj a aulam. This is your infinitive in Irish. If you've been to any of my classes, you will know I am infinitive obsessed. Once you know how to make infinitives in Irish, Irish opens up and becomes this really accessible language, everyone. Right, so have a look at this. Cohramoj a aulam. Cohramoj a aulam. Let's go for your pronunciation first. In Irish, never pronounce an FH. Always silent. GH. In the middle of a word, don't pronounce it. So what we're left is olam or aulam, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Irish is your language. So let's go for olam. Now the reason why we don't pronounce a GH in the middle of a word in Irish is because we don't. And that's affected how we speak English. We all know that this word is own. What two letters in the middle are we not pronouncing? The GH. We don't say gallagher, we say gallagher. Why? Because it comes from our Irish. So that's why the GH in the middle of the word, not going to pronounce it. Now what we have is cohramoj a olam. Let's go for the a olam part here. A olam means to learn, and cohramoj, equations. So cohramoj a olam, to learn equations. Now let's go back and get to the start of that sentence. Sheelam, I think. So Sheelam, I think. Go will she. And again, Jenna, this is going to come back to your question here. What's the difference between go will and go rev? Well, here it is. Go will she means that it is. Go will she. That it is. Go will she. And it's the word for that in Irish. And we don't have any subjunctive to worry about in Irish. That's such a French and Spanish thing. The lesser languages. Now we have the word jacker, right? Jacker is the word for tough, difficult, complicated. Bring the sentence for me together. Sheelam, I think. Go will she. That it is. Jacker, tough. Cohramoj a olam, to learn equations. Lovely, lovely simple answer, really. And again, you don't have to take it all, but you can take out nice bits and pieces, nice phrases that you think, you know what, that's nice. Now we're going to go on and get the next part here very, very quickly. And let's go. Cohramoj a genial solier mention. So we're talking about kind of how awful maths is and how horrible maths is, but you get 25 extra points, so you love it. Cohramoj a genial is the exact same phrase that we have here, right? Cohramoj and then a genial. Oh, sorry. No, 1 second. Right. So do you see the word cohramoj a genial? Now the a genial part, we have cohramoj and a genial. A genial means to keep, and cohramoj is the word for equations. So to keep equations. Solier is the word for clear. So solier, clear. And then invention means in my mind. Now, faim alon ober volja komoi. Faim alon ober volja. So I get a lot of homework. And see that GH in the middle of your word there? Faim. Do not pronounce that GH. So faim, I get alon ober volja, a lot of homework. And then komo as well. Now, the last part we have here on the line here is adring fein. Adring fein means just between us. We had that already in tonight's class, didn't we? So adring fein, just between us. Neil an munchor har volle bartje. Now, har volle bartje is a fantastic phrase to have. Will you do me a favor? Will you underline har volle bartje? Har volle bartje means the best, but in a very negative way. So what we're saying is Neil an munchor. The teacher is not har volle bartje. The teacher's not the greatest. The teacher's not the best. But it's a nice way of using it that Neil she goma or Neil she goma itself. So I'm just going to put that under there. Nope, 1 second. Yeah. So there it is. Har volle barcha. Now that brings us to the end of kind of the subject on your school. So now you can tell me how many subjects you do, but you can use it nice. You can tell me kind of what subjects you like and what subjects you don't like, but in a nice kind of way. And I've also given you a lovely, lovely trick of actually how to say I'm doing 8 subjects and not mess up the order of the subjects by saying Irish, English, Maths are compulsory, I chose, and then you only have to remember your 4. We've gone over lovely phrases as well to talk about why you like a subject and why you don't like a subject. And again, this, when you put all this together in a material, this is where you'll kind of start to stand out. So again, I'm going to just say to you, the purpose of this class is not to kind of overload you and swamp you with material, but it's just a way to make sure that you're going through a checklist in your head saying, I have that in my notes, I have that in my notes, perfect. I'm on the right track, I'm doing well. That's what I want. That's what I want you to kind of feel kind of supported and kind of quite confident, say, yeah, have it, deadly. And it's also a way of kind of doing a little bit of revision together and say, do you know what? We're actually, we're on the right track, perfect, and we're revising lots of key vocab. And after that then, maybe it's just giving you food for thought. Maybe it's just kind of giving you nice ways of actually saying nice stuff in a nicer way that's maybe a little bit different. So I tell you what, folks, what we'll do is we'll just move on to talk about sports, which is just on, very quickly, page 23 on the notes there. So if you can go for page 23, and we'll look at the sports that you play. Now I'm going to go for something a little bit different here, right? I'm going to go for that phrase, anyway, ta machri isti, which means I'm mad about, I'm crazy about. And we've got a couple of sports. We've got pel, ladog, soccer, ammoniocht, etchfel, kishfel, and hockey, right? But what I'm going to do is, it's actually this phrase down here. This is what I want to kind of give you. This is the really nice one. We're just going to make it nice, basically, right? What we're going to do is we're going to match our grammatical gender to the sport. Now, this is going to be very impressive when it comes to an examiner, but look at this. Tamachriesti means I'm mad about and crazy about. We've used that tonight, right? We have sefel, football, proper football, ga, not soccer. Tamachriesti se liadog, again, I'm mad about liad. Oh, sorry, I'll do this. Right, so sefel, liadog, tennis, soccer, ammoniocht, hurling, as in the epicenter of the world, Wexford, greatest hurlers ever. So san ammoniocht, san etchfel in volleyball, right? Sa hishfel, basketball, and hockey. Now what we have is red for feminine words and blue for masculine words, and this is exactly what we are going to do. We are going to impress our examiner. Instead of saying is ma lom soccer, what we're going to go for is we're going to say I think that, and we're going to put in the sport. Have a look at this. Istoilum, I reckon, I suppose. Gerb e, that, and then we're going to put in all the red ones. So gerb e pel, liadog, ammoniacht, etchfel, kishfel is on sportus farlum, my favourite sport. Or if you like soccer or hockey, then you're going to go for the blue and say istoilum gerb a. Right, so stoilum gerb a hockey on sportus farlum, or stoilum gerb a soccer on sportus farlum. Do you get that? I'm just trying to match it up so you can actually see. So stick all red if you have pel, liadog, ammoniacht, etchfel, and your sentence is grammatically impressive. Istoilum gerbi pel on sport is farlum. Istoilum gerbe soccer on sport is farlum. Now what I'll do is I'll actually pop that into yellow, so it'll just make it a little bit more easier for you to see the difference. Now if you feel like you can add on that little bit more, and you don't have to, remember, you're going to make my notes work for you. If you like it, add it in. If you don't, say, do you know what, good night, God bless me, Hall, that's just not for me. Har ein sportella above any other sport, only if you want to add that part in. Lisha, quick question, is snob masculine or feminine? It's masculine. Mihal, will the pronunciation of the strap picture be put on the platform, as I find pronunciation of certain words hard? John, totally get it, right? And one of the things, John, Irish pronunciation is actually very, very structured, and it's very, very logical. And we talked about this at the start of the class. I'll pop it up for you at the end as well if you need it, right? Once you know about maybe 9 key pronunciation points in Irish, you can pronounce so much. And they're on the platform for you. If you go to the pronunciation section, I tell you how to pronounce Irish words, and it doesn't change. But yeah, so it's already on kind of the platform, and I'll see about getting them for the Scrap doors for you as well. But if you go back first of all and you look at that pronunciation parts on the videos I've done, small little short little videos on how to pronounce Irish, John, you'd be pronouncing any Irish word in a matter of about 8 minutes. Once we know those key points. James, rugby is masculine. Rugby is a boring sport, and it's I'm joking. It's a masculine sport, yeah. So it's masculine. So we're gonna go for Stoilum Gerb A. Rugby on sport is Farlum as well. And Dausa and Rinke, masculine words as well. Masculine and feminine is very, very simple in Irish, and there's a video on that as well, on how to tell the difference between masculine and feminine. It'll take us about maybe 6 minutes, I think, but it's all on the platform for you as well there as well. Right, now I'm not going to go through the soccer sports because that's kind of different because you all have different sports, but the one thing I think to elevate your sports answer, if you are interested in sports, is to use that sentence. Now, a quick question coming in is, Michal, I don't play sports, should I still prepare something for it? Emer, absolutely not. I don't think so. This is going to be a stressful exam anyway, and I think it's very kind of, you're adding more stress by trying to fake an interest in something that you're not really mad about either. Like, so I hate sports, Emer. I absolutely cannot stomach sports. And it's very obvious when a student tries to fake an interest in sports. So if you're not interested in sports and I ask you about, like, do you like sports? You can say, no, absolutely not. Michal, this fulham sport, but is motlum kjol, or is motlum Netflix, is motlum scan on, or you can tell me what you do like, but definitely don't prepare it if you don't like it. Definitely not. Your time's precious in sixth year, so you shouldn't really be preparing stuff that you're not really wanting to talk about. Now, because we can talk about sport or music, let's have a look at this. So your sports answer is kind of done there, right? You can pick, there's loads of material for you to work through there yourself. Let's have a look at kjol, let's have a look at music, because I want to show you something really, really kind of easy that you can do with music to make a massive, massive impression when it comes to the Leaving Cert oral exam. So let's go for this one, right? And we'll sim got secure. So this is on page 24. Is bralum mushki a ligan. This is a lovely phrase. So mushki a ligan, to relax, to unwind, to chill out. That's my infinitive, right? Now is bralum, I love mushki a ligan, to relax. Nervine am siragum. If you want to put on the bit in grey, you can. So Nervine am siragum, when I have amsir free time. So nur avin amsir, I'm going to have free time. Because why? Poor devils, you're absolutely tormented with the leaving cert, aren't you? 7 subjects. So Sheelam goal me fui quij vor brew emlina de harvan hartish to get this sentence in, right? Now let's go for the middle part here, because Jenna and I think Francesca and a couple of others were asking about these go will and go rev. Go will may means that I am. Go will me, that I am. Now the first part, Sheelam, I think. So Sheelam, I think. Go will me, that I am. Fui quij vor brew. Oh, I love this. Under, lots of pressure. Under, huge pressure. Fui quij vor brew. And what we're going to do is we're going to get that V sound for the examiner. Vor. Now Imlina, we had this already in tonight's class, right? Imlina means this year. Imlina, this year. Lovely way. And I'm going to put in something so fancy. It's Tishel Ginnadocht to the height. Feminine Tishel Ginnadocht, we love it. But look at this word, right? De harva na harteshte. You might think it's a little bit weird. De harva na harteshte, on account of the leaving cert. On account of the leaving cert. Let's look at your pronunciation. Do not pronounce the T. We're going to get a V sound. De harve. De harve na harteshte, on account of the leaving cert. And I'm going to come back to, I think it was Francesca as well, who was asking me for filler words earlier on. And the filler words are all the way through the notes, right? Do you see this word here? Eishin racha. Eishin racha means having said that. So Eishin racha, having said that. Tatnin kjolum, I enjoy music, or music is enjoyable to me. Music is pleasing to me. Tatnin kjolum. Now, I'm going to get you very, very quickly to think of a band, artist, or a female singer or a male singer that you like. I need you to pick it now. Turn over the page and let's have a look at this. Who is your favorite musician? Watch this. This is going to be phenomenal. Short, simple sentences, but I need you to think very, very quickly. Who are you going to pick? A male artist, a female artist, or a band? So we're going to go for Tamachristi Savannah Kjol. Again, I'm mad about Savannah with a V sound. So Savannah Kjol by a band, and again you put in the band there, right? Or you might want to say I like a male artist or a female artist. You can say Tamachristi, I'm mad about, and then you can pop in a male artist or a female artist. Now here's where it's going to get really, really interesting. Churme sim aun inchi or unto. So churme sim aun means I got interested, aun, in him. So if you're going to tell me about a male artist, circle aun. Now if you're going to tell me about a female artist, I'm going to get you to circle in T. And if you're going to go for a band, you're going to go for unto. We're going to match the grammatical pronoun to whether it's male, female, or a band. Very simple. Don't get too panicked about it. But look, churme sim aun, I got interested in him. Churme sim inti, I got interested in her. And churme sim unto means in them. O eshiach on talbum, since the album, and pop in the album's name. So since the album was released, O eshiach on talbum, and then you can finish off with Kupla blin o him a couple of years ago. Das me Aeneas. Now das me, I grew Aeneas up, egestacht, listening, lesh, to him. If you're going to talk about male, circle that one. If you're going to talk about to her, well then we're going to go for lehi. And if you're going to go for a band, well then you're going to go for leo. This is really, really, really impressive. Das me Aeneas egestacht lesh. I grew up listening to him. And you can say Tana Hauron go leir de gum. So ta something a gum means I have, right? Now what have you? Na Hauron go leir all the songs. Na Hauron go leir. Díslód al me, I downloaded. So díslód al me, I downloaded. Na halbum lig, all the albums. So na Hauron go leir all the songs. Na halbum lig, all the albums o Spotify. Tá gopra láidir aige a key or a coup. Now tá gopra láidir, a fine voice, a great voice, a strong voice, a powerful voice. Any of those translations would be perfect. But if you want to say he has, we're going to go for aige. He has a great voice. If you want to say she has a great voice, we're going to go for a key. And if you want to say they have a great voice, you'll go for a coup. But it's very impressive from an examiner's point of view to hear it. Vi antalum ea ekal, ia ekal, ida ekal. So vi antalum, I was fortunate, I was lucky. A ekal, to see him. I ekal, to see her. Or iad ekal, to see them. And again, just circle whatever one you're going to use. You don't need to know them all, that's crazy. But we're matching it all the way up, all the way down. Sina viva, India viva, and then we know a nuri is last year. Nurahanik she go heron when he came to Ireland. Nurahanik she go heron when she came to Ireland. Or Nurahanik she'd go heron when they came to Ireland. And finally, the last one again. Ni Yainhi made Jarmid. I will not forget. Ni Yainhi made Jarmid. And we're going to go for a Y sound. Right? So that's the Y. Now again, the videos are done on how to pronounce Irish. Irish is really structured in its pronunciation. So hopefully you have covered that. If not, it's all on the platform for you. The videos are all there. But I do think, because it's the orals, go back and have a look at those 9 key rules of Irish pronunciation. And now you'll know why we pronounce the words in Irish the way we do. But see this F, don't pronounce it. Rookie mistake. So what we have is Ni Yainhi. Ni Yainhi me Jarmid. I will never forget I will never forget him, or he, her, or who, them. Go la mo vosh till the day I die. Go la mo vosh until la mo vosh the day I die. Now that's not complicated sentences, it's not long-winded sentences, but what you're doing is very, very nice. Grammatically, lovely. Structurally, beautiful. But it's a fantastic answer to have. Casey, would it be okay to say you're going to their concert in the summer, or would that change the topic? No, tell me you're going, because we will talk about like music and do you play music and have you been to a concert, and you can say no, I'm going to go to a concert in the summer when the Leaving Cert is over. Perfect. Yep, definitely you can tell me you're going to go to the concert then. Yeah, are there any other phrases say I'm lucky other than tá jarrig or gum? Casey or Mia, the one thing I'll tell you is just tá jarrig, use lum or they'd be the two ways we can't actually use a gum in that. We have to go for a lum or arm in those. But no, tá is I'm lucky, and you can add in the word red to mean very, very lucky, but they're kind of the two ways that we'd actually use to say it, yeah, but Mia, yeah, 100%. I find myself using that same sentence a few times across the topics. Now, if you do find yourself, Mia, using those topics, switch it up with lum and arm, and switch it up with jarrig and take it out. So in theory, you could have 4 sentences that all mean the exact same thing, but you're being very clever. You're just changing one word each at a time where it sounds like it's something different. Leisha, can I say on will may? Can you say Willem? Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, 100%. So you can say Willem. Oh, sorry. Go Willem. Go Will may. Sorry, that's it. Yeah. So go Will may. Go Willem. Yeah, 100%. Folks, Irish is your language. There's 3 different ways on the island. So whatever you find natural to you, whatever you find normal to you, make sure you use it. It's your language, it's your exam. Perfect. Right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to stop at the topics because we've gone through all of the key topics for everybody in the class. We've talked about lovely ways to talk about your family, talk about your area, talk about school, subjects you like, we talk about sport, talk about kind of music, and there's loads of material for you there, and there's loads more as well up on the actual, like there's loads of material there for what you want to do. What I want to do is to have a very, very quick look at the Mochnilock for 1 second, right? So folks, can you go to page 30? Now, all of my notes have the Mochnilock in, so don't be too surprised if you don't get a Mochnilock question. It's not an indicator of anything. Or don't be counting down thinking you're the best thing ever. If you do get a Mochnilock question in, it's not really kind of an indicator of anything. We'll use the Mochnilock if we feel it's appropriate to use it. We're not going to be like, what's your name, where are you from, what would you do if you won the lotto? So it's going to have to be a natural progression. But the good news is the Mochnilock is used all the way through my notes anyway, right? So let's have a look at this. Once you hear the Mochnilock, you'll never be able to unhear it because it's all about ha, right? Ha. And the good thing is you're going to hear it twice, so you can't mistake it. Listen to this. Cada yen ha da me ha et a frivige. What would you do if you were Cada yen ha da me ha. So simple in Irish. Cada yen ha da me ha. But in English, what would you do if you were? Very simple in Irish. But you cannot unhear it. Cada yen ha da me ha. Cada yen ha da me ha. You'll hear it twice. It's one of the biggest giveaways for Mochnilock. Cada yen ha, what would you do to improve? Cada yen ha da mu ha, what would you do if you won? You will not unhear it. We actually use the Mochnilock twice in Irish. So in French, if you use the R and all that, in Spanish it's the same. But Irish, you'll hear that ha twice. Cada yen ha da me ha. You're like, okay, grand, have it now. So let's look at being very, very clever and very, very simplified when it comes to actually giving material. Now, I'm not going to take you through all of this. The last thing I want you doing is preparing a conditional mood question. What would you do for all of the different scenarios? We're going to keep it so basic and simple because the marks are actually going to go for recognizing when you hear the Mochnilock and being able to use a Mochnilock back. So now you can hear that ha, you can recognize it, and you know what to give me back. What we're going to do is we're going to use 5 verbs in this. So the first one we're going to go for is hianoing, right? Now we're going to get an ing sound at the end of it. Hianoing. I would buy. One word for us in Irish, because we're better. 3 in English. Hianoing. I would buy. Now the next one is herhing. And again, don't pronounce the F. So I'm going to scribble out that F. And again, we're going to try our best to get an IN or an ING sound at the end of it. Herhing, which means I would put. Again, one word for us in Irish. Beautiful. The next one is hur-hing. Hur-hing. Do not pronounce the TH in Irish. So we're going to go for hur-hing. And we're not going to pronounce that F. So hur-hing, I would give. And then the next one is rahing. Rahing. And again, we're going to go for an ing as best we can at the end of it. So rahing means I would go. Now, if you want to say raching with a strong CH, you can. That's perfect. Yeah, you can. There's loads of ways of pronouncing it. But we want to get that ing sound at the end. So we have one more verb to look at. And it's this one here. Let's go for pronunciation. Veach she. Veach she. Give me a V at the start. and a strong CK at the end. Bheadh sé, it would be. What we are going to do is, no matter what they ask us, what would you do if you were a principal? What would you do if you won €1,000,000? What would you do if you were a Taoiseach? What would you do if you were the Minister for Health? What would you do if you were the Minister for Education? We're just going to keep our vocab so simple and so unified. Let's have a look at number 3, right? Do me a favour, will you go down to this huirthing for I would give, and I'll show you this one. So we're going to start off with huirthing, I would give, and we're going to say roinch ardigage do, some money, and we're going to go for do mo hishmahori, to my parents. So I could say, what would you do if you won €1,000,000? You could say that. Or I might say, what would you do if you were a Taoiseach? Use the same verb, use the same vocab, and say, huirthing I would give, roinch ardigage do guine bukta, to poor people. You and Lishin, best friends. I would give money to poor people. Same thing. What if I asked you, what would you do if you were the Minister for Health? You could say, huirthing I would give, and again, keep it uniformed. Roinch ardigage, some money. Do harhanachti, I would give some money to charities. And I could say, what would you do if you were the principal? Now, who does not want to give more money to teachers? So I would say, huirthing nís mo ardigage, I would give more money do na munchori, to the teachers. Do na munchori. And I think this is the best idea. I'd vote for you there and then. Or you could say, I would give more money to the nurses. So what we're doing is, we're going to be clever. We're not going to learn off individual, separate answers. We don't have time for that. We're going to keep 5 uniform verbs. We're going to keep the vocab as similar, and we're just going to swap it around. For example, Chianoing, I would buy. What would you do if you won the lotto? I would buy a new car for myself. What would you do if you were a principal? I would buy new computers for the school. Keep it uniformed, keep it patterned. That's the easiest way to go around for the Mokanilok question. Now, what I love about this is 5 Mokanilok verbs is good. So, Sever, if you want to go for 5 of these would be absolutely perfect in Mokanilok, because the whole Mokanilok is about being able to hear it and recognize it and being able to use it back. You have your 5 verbs, you're done. So keep the vocab very, very simple. Hannah, if I brought the Mokanilok into your conversation, would it lower your chances of being asked one of these questions at the end? Hannah, no, not really. It has to happen naturally. Do you know that way? It kind of has to be like a natural question that an examiner, if you're saying there's lots of problems in my area, it's awful, first of all, it's Wicklow and there's loads of different problems in it, then I'd be like, what would you do to improve Wicklow? And you could be like, I don't know, I just lost cause. But it has to happen quite naturally. So if you want to talk about topics and you bring me to a topic, then I might ask you what would you do to improve it? You kind of really harp on about it, like there's lots of issues, there's social problems, and I'd say, well, what would you do to improve it? But all I need is a couple of verbs. Or you might be saying, you might be talking about lots of pressure, lots of stress with school subjects, the leaving cert, all that sort of stuff. And I might say to you, what would you do to improve it? And you could say, well, I would definitely buy new computers for my school. So it has to, Hannah, it has to be like a natural progression in the conversation. It can't be just a random thing that we throw in. But the thing is, if we're using it throughout the notes, it's a good indicator that the examiner mightn't even ask you about the Mokanilok question. It's all about your delivery and what we're saying, but the conversation has to be normal, and the conversation has to be natural. Do you know that's the thing? And we said this at the start of tonight's class, it has to be a chat. It's a chat at the very, very basic level. It's an 8 minutes chat, a normal chat that we have to have, and that's the key, that's the thing. Ryan, this method for the Mokanilok is genius, isn't it just? But look, folks, the thing is, we're making things a little bit more difficult than what they actually need to be. And you just have to realise that the Irish exam, it's a common exam for higher level, ordinary level. It's an exam it's such a doable exam. I can't stress how, first of all, proud all of us are that you're actually doing the subject, that you're doing an oral exam. We know how stressful it is. We know you're nervous, 100%. But we just want to make it like a nice experience for you. That's kind of the thing. We kind of want to show you how much you actually know, the material you know so much more Irish. So it's just all about saying that, show me what you know, basically. Leisha, is it correct to say a rowing? Leisha, I would make one slight little change there, sorry folks. I would say da rowing. The Mokanilok, number 1 is all about your past tense, and number 2, add your endings. That's your Mokanilok. So make sure you put your past tense rule on and then add your endings. And again, that's all on the platform. Now I want to draw your attention to one thing, Mokanilok here, that you can actually use everywhere. So we need that sound bheadh sé. Bheadh sé means it would be, right? You could say, oh, bheadh sé áisiúil. Áisiúil means handy. So if we're talking about something like going to school on a bus or you take the train, oh, bheadh sé áisiúil, it would be handy. You could say bheadh sé úsáideach. I would be useful. Bheadh sé úsáideach. Yeah, that'd be useful enough. You could use the word tarbhach. And again, give me a V sound in the middle of this. Tarbhach means beneficial. But like, you've got three words, bheadh sé tarbhach, and that's your mocnílach used. Riachtanach, essential, compulsory. Yeah, bheadh sé riachtanach. Can I just absolutely shatter your illusions here? Do you see this word, ba, va, lum? I would love. That's your mocnílach. There it is. So ba, va, lum, I would love. So you might say I'm doing 7 subjects. I would love to do physics, but va, lum, fisica, Janov. And again, you put in your mocnílach using ba, va, lum with a V. So the mocnílach's not as kind of hard, but definitely I think it's one of my fail-proof ways of going about the mocnílach question itself. Now, do you know what we'll do? Because we're kind of rushed for time, let's have a quick look at our srapig door. Now, once the conversation is over, we've 8 minutes, the conversation is done. Once the conversation is done, we are home and dry, folks. We have a srapig door. Now, very, very quick recap from the start of tonight's class. Make sure you have your 10 srapig door written out neatly, nicely, legible. Make sure we have the numbers and make sure we have the official titles themselves, right? You hand that to the examiner when you go in, so I'll know that you put them down, we'll know them. At the start, they'll give you an envelope with all 20 srapig doors in it, right? All 20 will be in it. They'll get you to pull one at random. For the love of God, you're just going to do the one that you have. So you have 10 written out. If you pull out the first one and it's not your srapig door, you just shake your head and you hand it back to the examiner, and I'll look and say, oh, that's not on your list, go again. And you're going to pull out another one out of the envelope and you're going to look and think, that's not one of my srapig doors either. And I'll look at your list and say, yeah, you're right, that's not one of your srapig doors. And you will go until you eventually pull out one of the srapig doors that you, and be like, ah, that's you. And then that's going to be your srapig door. So, do you get me? So a lot of students have told me over the years that they were shocked when they were handed the envelope, they pulled out a srapig door and they tried to do the srapig door that they have never done before in their lives. So make sure you keep going until you get the srapig door. Now I can see the questions coming in, what if, and I'm going to stop you there. No. I have your list, you've written it down for me. So I'll know exactly whether that's the real one or not. So definitely don't try and pull a fast one. Now the srapig doors, what you have in your head as being a srapig door, you're doing way too much. Way, way, way too much. On average, between, depending on your H goals or your O goals, whether you want to go for an O1, O2, O3, or H3, H4, H1, H2, whatever, anywhere between 4 sentences right up to 6 or 7. No, I would not do any more than 6 or 7. 6 or 7 is a ridiculous amount. Anywhere between that, you decide, I'm just going to do 4, I'm going to do 5, I'm going to go for the 6, I'm going to go for this 7. So you're going to go for just them sentences per picture. Now I'm going to show you very, very quickly. You've got stuff there, right, about the actual material. Can I just get you to go on to my top 10? Let me see. Actually, do you know what? Let's talk about the questions from the examiner. Can you go to page 35 for me with this? So the questions for the examiner. When you've gone through your srapig door, you're going to ask me 3 questions first. So again, the exam is geared to give you the best opportunity. The exam is designed to give you the best opportunity. So you're going to ask me questions first. Think about it the other way around. If I was to go first and ask you questions, and what are you going to do if that was one of the questions that you actually have used yourself? So what we're going to do is you go first. So you're going to ask me 3 questions. You're going to say, Michal, and you're going to give me question number 1. When I start talking, you switch off, and I want you to get your second question ready to go. And then I'll stop. And then you ask me your second question. And then I'm going to rattle off the answer for that. But you stop listening to me and you get your third and final question ready to go. And when I stop talking, you're like, Grant, question 3. And you throw that at me. Don't listen to my response. Do not listen to me. Just get your question ready to go. Get your second question. When I stop talking, ask question 2. When I stop talking, ask question 3. So we're giving you a couple of seconds to get your second question ready to go, and we're talking to give you a couple of seconds to get your third question ready to go. Now, when I go and I ask you 3 questions, I'm going to keep these questions very, very simple and very, very basic. The question just has to be grammatically correct or incorrect. So here's the issue, right? The questions has to be like all in or out. So it just has to be correct or not. So the longer you make your question, the more chances are you're probably going to make a grammatical mistake. Keep your sentence, keep your question short, simple, keep it basic, because we're at the end of the oral exam. These are just a handy 10 marks for you. These are just like a parting gift where I'm saying, look, I want to give you 10 marks. Just ask me 3 basic questions. And when I ask you 3 basic questions, just give me the information. You don't need to make a big, long, drawn out paragraph about it. So if I say to you, what's the time on the clock? You can just look at it and say, 3 o'clock. And I'm like, perfect. I might ask you question number 2. How many people are in the picture? You can just say, tá cathair on. There are 4. That's it. You don't need to give me an elaborate answer. Keep your question short and keep your information very, very basic. Now, the other thing is, keep your questions identical. Keep your questions so uniform. One of the mad things that you are all doing is that you're making 3 individual questions for 10 individual Strat Pictors. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I think that's 30 questions that you're learning, which is insane. I love it. I appreciate the effort. Thank you. But I'm only going to give you 1 Strat Pictor. So I'm not going to know your 27 other questions, am I? So do me a favor. Keep your questions very, very similar. Keep them very, very basic. So you can ask me how many are in the first picture. Now, I wouldn't say how many's in the first picture, how many's in the second picture, how many. Don't do that. But you can say how many's in the first picture, who is talking in picture 2, and what is the teenager doing in picture 4. You can say how many's in picture 3, what did the mother say in picture 4, what did the boy do in picture 5. But those questions here, you can pretty much use for any of the Strat Pictors. You can just take out mother, take out teenager, take out boy, and put in the other character in it. My advice to you is, we've 3 we've 3 questions. Keep your questions as uniformed for all of your Strat Pictors, because I don't see why you're preparing 30 questions if we're only going to do 1 Strat Pictor. That means 27 are gone. And as I can see your questions coming in, we should have an easy question and a hard question like the Mo Cníloch. Leisha, this is the thing, right? When you ask your examiner the question, I have to be able to see the information. So I can't be really asked abstract, how would you feel if this happened to you? I can't actually answer that. Like, I have to be able to see it. So you should be asking me questions. What's happening in picture 1? What's happening in picture 2? Who is taught? I have to be able to see the information. The last thing I want to do is think, so keep no abstract questions, just keep it nice and short. So Mo Cníloch, you're probably going to get the same marks as somebody saying who's talking in picture 1, where are they in picture 2, what's the teenager doing in picture 3. You're going to get the exact same marks either way. So if it's not going to get me extra marks, I'm actually not going to do it. Ryan, how possible is it to get 70 to 80 marks? Ryan, very possible. Very, very, very possible. Do me a favor. Keep your information short, keep it simple, and keep it very, very basic as well. But every now and again, I want nice kind of phrases, nice kind of like Tishel Ginlock phrases. They're all in the notes. I've got 5 kind of sample ones for you anyway. I want you to use those as much as you can. Like, I want you to use those nice phrases, but it is very, very possible to get 80 out of 80 in the actual orals themselves, in the Strat Pictor. Now, can I just show you? I know we're kind of rushing. I'm very conscious of time. It's Sunday. And you've been here with me since 5, so I just want to kind of go through these very quickly with you. I love the Strat Pictor. Right, it's sad I know, but look, I've basically grouped all of the Strat Pictor for this year, for 2025, into teams. So I found that when I went through the Strat Pictor, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have Rilacha, Mucciolhu, I have An Gaelic, I have Sláinte, Ober. I have those are all to do with school. You have school vocab in the orals anyway, don't you? Talking about subjects you like, subjects you don't like, rules of school, whether you did transition year. All that vocab is going to double up here. So these are my pick. These are what I would do. You can do any 10 that you want. You can do 1 to 10, 11 to 20. Somebody just asked me during the year, Michal, I don't know what Strat Pictors to do. Can you pick 10 for me? And I said, yeah. So they're my school, and then I'm going to go for holiday, because we can talk about the holidays already in the orals. I went to Spain, I went to the Gaeltacht, you have loads of vocab, so why not double up on that vocab here? So I added in Sour Íntacht, Lá Spree, and fiveness. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These are my 10 that I would have picked. They're highlighted for you there. But don't panic if these aren't your 10. If you're doing 10 others, that's grand, that's perfect. But just because someone asked me during the year, what 10 would I do? I would keep it simple, easy and short. Vocab, I already know. Verbs, I already know. Structures, I already know. Stuff we've actually spoken about in the oral exam, school, subjects, teachers, rules, transition year, holidays. I get to use all that again for the SRAP Pictor. So they would be my picks. Now I'm going to show you another thing with the SRAP Pictor, right? The names. I personally don't like using names in the SRAP Pictor because sometimes the names have grammatical changes. And I know you're going to pick Liam and Una because they are the two that would have the least amount, and Neve would also have the least amount of grammatical changes in it. So I know that if you're going to go for names, they're usually the names that most students go for. I call them the boy, the girl, the teenager, the principal, the parent, because I know the vocab anyway. The second thing I do is I actually always introduce my SRAP Pictor. And I know some teachers are saying don't, and again, you're getting lots of good information from your teachers. You'll get good information here, and you decide what you want to do, right? But I like actually introducing my SRAP Pictor by saying in picture 1 and picture 2, because it buys me a couple of seconds to think about what I want to say. So bear with me for a second. I can say something along the lines of Sachéad Pictor in the first picture, and I'm looking and I'm getting my material ready to go. So it buys me that brief second of actually being able to take a breath, look at the material, and then launch into it. I do that for the second one as well. Now I can see someone ask me a question. Is Sachéad Pictor the same as a Pictor Hain? Alex, it is 100%. Good man, spot on, yeah. So I can use either one of those, Alex, if I want. Now the second thing is, I say Sadara Pictor, no F, Sadara Pictor, and I say in the second picture. That's where I stop counting. You know as well as I do that some of the pictures have 6. Lovely, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But some of the SRAP Pictors have like 10 images, 11 images, and 12 images, and it's ridiculous. So what I do then is I use connecting terms like Sachéad Pictor Ella in the following picture. So I've stopped counting. So I don't have to worry about, is that picture 5, is that picture 6? I can focus on my Irish. So I can use nice connector sentences like Sachéad Pictor Ella in the next picture, or something like this, a nua sin on top of that. And it gives me a couple of seconds before I launch into my material. Kind of it's like a rest that you get. And then I go on and I can add on the next part then, Sachéad Pictor Ella in the next picture, and then I can say Sa Pictor Jaranoch in the last picture. Count picture 1, count picture 2, and then stop. After that then use nice simple connecting terms. Then after that, Turation, Iniigshin, Sachéad Pictor Ella in the next picture. Finally, in the final picture, use those. They're much easier to kind of use. Ryan, is the SRAP Pictor book by Edco okay to use for the notes? Yeah, Ryan, your teacher will have you sorted with notes. The Edco books are great as well. You've notes everywhere. Even TG Cahar have stuff on the SRAP Pictors. Tourish, our newspaper has loads of stuff. You have an abundance of material. So, but the thing is, Ryan, use stuff that Ryan wants to use. That's really important. You shouldn't kind of be learning off stuff that's not going to be easy to remember. You shouldn't be learning off stuff that's kind of going to be quite difficult. So use stuff that you actually want to use, Ryan. Excuse me. Now I'm going to show you a little bit with the SRAP Pictor. Here's my last kind of piece of advice, because I know we're kind of just hitting the 8 o'clock and I don't want to kind of bore you to death. But do me a favor. You're going to prepare 10 SRAP Pictor for me. Will you keep your SRAP Pictor as uniformed as possible? Use the same verbs. V, cuig, Jimmy, conic, di, dole, hug. Use the same verbs, because your examiner's only going to give you one SRAP Pictor. So I'm not going to know if that's the same verbs that you have in all of your SRAP Pictor. And it's much easier for you to learn. So this week, I think what we should do is I think we should now look at our 10 SRAP Pictor and make them as uniformed as possible. For example, we could have, let me go for just Ag Buint Tatnaf. For example, let's look at this one here. See Ag Buint Tatnaf? That means enjoying. I'm sure if you went to other SRAP Pictors, you would be able to get Ag Buint Tatnaf into SRAP Pictor 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So that's a key vocab that I want to use through all of my pictures. I want to have that as enjoying. The next thing is like here, for chatting or talking. And now I know for a fact you know the word a caint in Irish. Tá mé a caint, tá tú a caint. Perfect. Ag córa is a lovely piece of phrase that you can use, nice standout phrase. But I want you to use that ag córa in Strat Pictor 2, 3, 4, and 5. Try and keep it the same verbs, the same vocab, the same structures, the same phrasing as best as you can. That's the key. And I guarantee you, once you standardize all your Strat Pictors, once you make them uniformed in terms of verbs and structures and phrases, you will fly your Strat Pictor. The worst thing that you can do, the most stressful thing that you can actually do with Irish, is learn 10 individual Strat Pictors with different vocab, different verbs, and different structures. Play the game. No one's going to know. I'm not going to be like, was that on 2? Is that on 3? I won't know if you've got the same vocab running all the way through it. So the more uniformed you make this, the easier this will be. The more standardized you make this, you will fly your Strat Pictor in Irish. But the worst thing you can do is actually make these a little bit longer and unnecessary. Now, folks, we are just a little bit out of time. When it comes to the actual material itself, it's all there for you. Everything that you possibly will need, from pronunciation to poems and stories, it's all here. No, sorry, there's a masterclass there. And as well as that, you have all the essays, the poems, and the stories there. There's even little games for you to play as well that I made, just to make the material a little bit more easier, because we all know how kind of boring paper and stuff is like that. So there's loads of kind of interactive games you can play. Dinosaurs, who doesn't love dinosaurs? So there's stuff there to actually help you reinforce the material as well, but that's done for an awful lot of your course as much as possible, right? But all the oral stuff that it's there for you. Don't forget as well, online I am with you quite often. With Irish, I've absolutely kind of pulled out a huge timetable this year for you, because you asked me for help with an awful lot of stuff. So instead of trying to cram stuff into an hour, join me on those nights. Mondays is always orals, Tuesdays is always the listening, Wednesdays is always the writing workshops, and the essays are always on Wednesday evenings, and we'll do the literature, poems and stories. So every night a week we're going to put foddas on things. We're going to throw foddas and shavus around. So that's the timetable. So make sure Q&A on Mondays is free. Absolutely turn up, bring your mates, bring your mom, bring your dad, whatever you need to. But Q&A session is where you get to ask me questions from grammar, poems, stories. We can talk more about the orals if you would like. That would be perfect. You get to tell me what you want to talk about on the Q&A session. So will you do me a favour? Will you come back to me tomorrow night at 7 o'clock and we can have a chat about anything? Come back to me the following Monday from 7 and again till 8, and we can have a chat about anything you want. The thing is, I'm here for the whole year from 7 o'clock until 8 o'clock every Monday. Just log on, live stream, and ask me as many questions as you possibly can. I'm not going anywhere for the rest of the year, so you'll have your support. You'll have me till the end of the year. So that's open for everybody. So will you do me a favour? Will you come back to me tomorrow night and every Monday, and we can answer it? Because there's loads of questions coming in there about grammar and predictions and patterns and poems and listening, how to do it. We can have a little bit more of a chat on those, because I just don't want to kind of go over your time here, because you kind of need to chill out for an hour before you get ready for school tomorrow. Look, I tell you what, we'll finish off with this. Folks, thank you so much from the bottom of my cold Wexford heart. Thank you so much for turning up. Your questions were insane. Your questions were deadly. Hopefully you feel a bit more confident and more comfortable about Irish. That was the whole game. It wasn't really to kind of overload you or swamp you with material, but just to let you know, you're doing a great job. Your teachers are doing a fantastic job. You're doing a great job. Keep up the hard work. I believe in you 100%. Have faith in yourself, have confidence in yourself, and you will be fine. All right. Yeah, you're deadly. Folks, thanks so much. Listen, have a fantastic weekend. What's left of it. Have an even better week, because you deserve it. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7 for an old chat in Irish. Is that all right? Excellent. Folks, listen, you were absolutely deadly, spot on. Gur mila mágah, slán inis.